What's going on, guys? We are back here for an episode of Armbars and Suplexes. I am your host, Alec Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Alec Miller 0423. There's my man Jesus. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Good to be back on this early morning. Yes, this is an early morning.
Early morning.
You can catch me at The Real Jesus, and that's spelled JEEZUS on Twitter.
All right, and just to give everybody a quick update, I recently went to night shifts, so we're trying to work out when the best time to do this is. If I look a little rough, I'm running on about 3 hours of sleep right now, but hey, we're gonna power through this. You got to make sacrifices in order to get to what you want to do, get to where you want to be, and that's what I'm doing right now. So, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this card that we just watched and this upcoming card, because you already know who I'm going for in this week's card for sure.
You love Joanna, so
I love Joanna. She's the best. She's the best. No, obviously. Yeah, we'll hear who I'm talking about when we get there. But yeah, we're gonna be breaking down that and breaking down what happened this past weekend. And so I'm really excited. Sorry about that. It is very early here in the morning. Well, not very early, but I woke up early.
A lot to talk about, and I know Alec is on fumes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drink this no caffeine monster for you. So I can be awake.
What's the point? All right. What's up, Angel? Angel in the chat, man. He's on night shifts too, so he feels my pain right now.
Oh man.
But also, so it is the first of the month, or the first week of the month. I guess first show of the month. So Angel does get a shout out because he is a part of the $3 and the $5 Patreon. So $5 Patreon, which he gets a shout out every month, and he has a question, but it's only directed towards me because I actually checked out the band. I didn't get a chance to give it to you because you got me the question today. But so yeah, he gets his shout out because he is a member of Patreon. He's a patron. So if y'all don't know, go into the comment section down below. The Patreon link is there. There is a $1, a $3, and a $5 tier. The $1 tier gets you the access to the Patreon feed, which when we have more people will be much more active. We have
real quick. I do have a article that I'll be posting soon on our Patreon feed.
There you go.
It talks about. I haven't finalized the title yet, but it's basically something to do with the UFC wants to be the big leagues, but wants to pay the cheap pennies to its fighters. So
there you go. So make sure you guys go there and do that. So $1 tier, you would get that article and more. And I know I'm hoping to try and dip my toe into the UFC article writing, but I'm not an expert, so it'll be more of like a casual fan type article, I'm sure.
Just like mine, Alec. Just like mine. I'm not an expert either.
But so yeah, go ahead and do that. And then $3 tier, you get a shout out every month. So every month, everyone who's a part of the $3 tier will get a shout out. No matter whatever it is you want it to be. I have Angels here, and I'll read it later and right after this. And then $5 tier, you get a question asked. Once we have more people, it'll be more of a one question per week, and then eventually we'll be able to. Once we have enough people, we can have one show where it is nothing but questions. But until then, Angel basically has free reign over our show every week. So let's go ahead and jump into what he has asked. So his question was, he wanted me to check out a band, one of his friends' band called the Monkey Tryouts. And I'm gonna say I really enjoy it. They're a rock band, but they're more kind of hard to. They actually have a different sound. I don't even want to put them into a genre. I know it's definitely rock. I just don't know exactly what the subgenre of rock would be.
This would be a good time to for you tell me they sound like this band, kind of whether it's new, old, and then I go listen to it and I can say, yeah, I heard what you're saying, or maybe you know what, I thought they were this. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Here, hold on. Let me. So they have. I'm actually listening to a little bit right now. They have a little bit of a new school punk feel, I guess. It's more. It's not as fast. It's not as like
21 Pilots almost.
No, not 21 Pilots. You can give it a little bit of STP, but a little harder. So a little Stone Temple Pilots, but a little harder. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. So they're really great. I think they're Houston based. So Go ahead and give those guys a listen. That's the Monkey Tryouts. They're
Yeah.
on Spotify. That's where I listen to them at. Really good band. I will probably listen to more of them, especially if they keep dropping more music. So yeah, thank you, Angel, for giving me a new band to listen to, the Monkey Tryouts, and I'm always down to support fellow Houstonians, always. So we'll go ahead and get into his shout out. This is more of a shout out, like just kind of shouting out some people that in his life that helped him out. So he wrote out a whole thing. You want me to read? He said, "This shouts for his whole family." He shouted out me. Thank you, Angel. Kayla Hinojosa, which is his sister. Matthew Romero, which is one of his. I'm not sure who Matthew Romero is. So Angel, if you want to go ahead and put in the chat who Matthew Romero is, and his friend named Jessica Campuzano. He said, "I just want to let y'all know I love y'all, and I'm glad I got family and friends to turn to in my darkest of hours. I want to let all of y'all know from the bottom of my heart, I love you and appreciate you being there for me always. Without the four of us, without the four of y'all, I don't see myself being able to get through the dark days or through the cravings of my addictions. I'm glad I have all y'all in my life. Thank y'all, and I love each and every one of y'all, and I'm glad I can call y'all my best friends and most importantly, my family." So that's from Angel, man. Yeah, Angel. He actually hit me up this week because he was having a hard time. I had to help him through it, man. So as always, I'm here for you, everyone that you mentioned, and is here for you. And hopefully through this community, you can find even more people that'll be down for you. So thank you, Angel, for supporting, man. Absolutely, as my brother. So definitely, no matter what, I will be there to help you. So thank you, and thank you for supporting, man. Honestly, it's helping. All right, man. So before we jump into the UFC Norfolk, I don't remember what fight night it is. I believe it's on UFC and ESPN Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I think it's like 17 or something like that, which is crazy because I remember the first. Oh no, it was Fight Night 169. Sorry, but yeah, I was wrong. I suck. When is the next? Oh, the next UFC on ESPN is on. Oh, damn, they're in 8. My bad. Thought it was more. I guess they don't name them even if they're on ESPN Plus. They don't name it UFC on ESPN.
No, they name it Fight Nights unless it's like specifically on ESPN.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. All right. So before we jump into that, I actually wanted to get your opinions. Did you watch the Wilder and Fury fight?
Yes, I did.
What did you think?
I mean, I don't know if I said it in the podcast, but I have picked Tyson Fury to win.
Yeah, I believe we both picked Fury. Yeah,
I picked Fury to win. I told my buddy I picked Fury to win. I just think, I mean, Fury's just on another level, man. He's a student of the game. He understands it. And I forgot who it was. I think it was it Roy Jones or I forgot who it was. It wasn't Max Kellerman. I don't want to give him credit for that because I don't think it was him. But somebody said that basically at the end of the last fight, he figured out how to beat him. Whenever he got knocked out or knocked down in the 12th round and he got back up.
I don't think it was Kellerman because Kellerman was picking Wilder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was after the fact. and after the fact, it was very apparent. It was very apparent what his strategy was. Not before, after. Because before there was a lot of things. Remember, I told you like his camp is different. He got a different trainer. He gained a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. So we thought, at least me, I thought he wasn't taking it seriously, but I thought a poor Fury could still beat Wilder. And basically what happened is at the end of the fight, the first fight, when he got knocked down, he got up, he realized that, like, one, it's the last round. Two, there's nothing to lose. I already felt his power and got knocked down. If I get knocked out, I get knocked out. Mm-hmm. So he started coming forward and not really worrying about getting punched.
Yeah, people were saying he might have won that round, even with getting knocked down.
Yeah, and what happened was he realized Wilder can't fight off his back foot. So Wilder can't fight going backwards. He doesn't know how. He's never had to do that because everybody's scared of his power. Mm-hmm. And he dominated him for that round. So Fury said, well, how can I dominate him for 12 rounds like this if I have to and be able to absorb his power and really tire him out? And he said, well, I'm going to gain weight. So he gained weight. He gained, I think, 27 pounds. And if you saw it, man, he was really using that weight. He was leaning on him. He was pushing him down. He
licking him.
Yeah, he licked him. So, I mean, it was just a masterful performance, man. I mean, absolutely. Fury is the guy who's been the guy. He's the one who finally, beat Klitschko with that I mean, I'm sorry, man. Klitschko's a great fighter, but he's also very boring and safe with that jab that he had. It just annoyed me. So I was happy when Fury won back then in 2015. But man, I like Fury, man. Fury's a character. He has a lot of personality, but more than anything, he's a great and phenomenal boxer. He's gonna go down in the annals as one of the greatest boxers of all time.
Absolutely.
And as a heavyweight, man, he's very, very skilled, man. Very skilled, has a big gas tank. So I'm just excited what the future holds, man, because he can fight Joshua, which Joshua already is fighting some mandatory scrub.
We already got the rematch is confirmed.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there's gonna be any difference.
I don't either. I'm just saying we got that to look forward to.
I'm not worried about that one. I'm worried about him fighting Joshua and him fighting Andy Ruiz right now. Those are the two guys that I want to see him fight.
Ooh.
Because those are the top of the division, and I want him to beat those guys. I mean, I love Andy Ruiz. He's a Mexican American. He was the first Mexican heavyweight champ, so I love him. But Tyson Fury is like, I mean, he's gonna be an all-time great dude, and he's gonna be very difficult to beat for anybody.
Yeah,
as long as he's motivated and as long as he feels challenged and he wants to continue his legacy, because we know that he's had that bout with what was it? I think alcoholism and depression that kind of put him out for like 2 years. So as long as he's motivated and he can fight those demons, we're gonna see the making of a. It's already there. Like, he has a great legacy, but we're gonna continue to see the building of that legacy as an all-time great.
Yeah. So just a quick question: when you were picking Fury, were people questioning you?
Yeah.
Why? The same thing with me. I was like, dude. So people were like, okay. When I was telling them that I think that Fury will win, they're like, what? Why? I'm like, dude, because in order for Wilder to win, he has to knock out Fury, and Fury showed that he can take Wilder's biggest punch and still get back up, and then win the round. Well, so he would have to hit him with a supernatural amount of power in order to knock him out.
Yeah, and I think what they saw, because I mean, my buddies, they're me, man. I love boxing. I love boxing was my first combat sport love, man. I grew up with Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, Julio Cesar, Chavez. Did I say Mike Jones or Mike Tyson?
You said Mike Tyson.
Okay, I don't know why I said Mike Jones in my head, but Mike Tyson.
and much about, man.
And on top of that, some of the other guys that aren't as well known, but were also great, like Pernell Whitaker, Winky Wright, Bernard Hopkins in that time, James Toney, all those guys. I grew up with those guys, and that was my favorite sport, was boxing. And then it kind of transitioned into a couple years of kickboxing, and then the UFC blew up or started blowing up, and I found out about UFC in the early 2000s, and I just UFC and pride, and I loved it. So from their standpoint, they're casual fans. They only watch the big fights, the Canelos, the big names. But they understand boxing too. Like one of my buddies, the Rob that was in the chat here the other day, he loves Mike Tyson. And me and him, when we were in high school, we used to watch Mike Tyson knockout videos like on YouTube, like just the highlights or whatever. So he loves boxing too. But and he picked Wilder, and he thought Wilder was going to win, and he questioned me on Fury. The reason why was because it's kind of a recency bias, because the last round, the way he hurt him, he felt that, Wilder figured him out. Wilder, knows he could knock him out. He has that mental edge, and he's going to take advantage of it in the next fight. And I mean, I get that to an extent. Like, I can see that thought process. Like, okay, I mean, he got him, but it was a 12th round, and then what happened in the rest of the round? And then also, if you look at that fight, man, Fury outlanded Wilder in 9 out of 12 rounds, dude, in the first fight. So to me, that tells me he's busier, he's landing more, he's more accurate. I mean, it was luck to be. It was a draw, right? The first one was a draw, right?
Yep, draw.
It was luck to be a draw, and a lot of that has to do with the knockdown. So, or the knockdowns. I think he knocked him down twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Knocked him down twice, yeah.
Yeah. So
the last one was the one where he literally rose from the dead.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, I had Fury winning the first fight. So for me to pick Fury the second fight, I thought, I mean, it's gonna happen, and that's what happens too with high level boxers, man. If you give them multiple opportunities, they're gonna figure something out, and they're gonna. I mean, look at Andre Ward when he fought Kovalev. The first time he fought Kovalev, I think it was a draw, or maybe they gave him the fight or something, and then the second, no, I think it was a draw, and then they did a rematch, and then Andre Ward figured it out and knocked out Kovalev in like the 7th round in the second fight.
Mm-hmm.
So the greats, they figure it out, and they make adjustments, and that's exactly what Tyson Fury did.
Yeah, and good on Wilder's corner calling that fight when they did. I'm actually really happy that they did because it got to a point where that fight started to get hard to watch.
Well, hold on. I had an argument with my friends about that, man.
Okay.
So whenever, if you remember the fight, whenever they threw in the towel, the ref was already stepping in, right? He was stepping in.
I honestly didn't notice the towel getting thrown in until after.
Bingo.
You think the ref stopped it beforehand?
Yeah, the ref stopped it beforehand. The ref would have stopped it, and either way. So no kudos to the corner. The
Okay,
corner
well then
should have stopped it.
kudos to the ref.
Yeah, the corner should have stopped it like a round earlier, man. At least, whenever he was, dude, in that round, I think in the round before they got stopped, he was just taking a beating, dude. He was just getting beat up.
It was getting hard to watch.
That's what I'm saying. And so I was like, no, like he was like, yeah, well, they stepped in, they never do that. I go, man, they didn't step in time. Like, okay, great that they did the action of doing it. They're doing the motion of throwing in the towel, but the ref was already going to stop it. So at that point, what's the point of throwing in the towel? Like, you should have done it a round earlier, saved him all that damage that he took in those 2 rounds, and just said, hey, man, today, he had a better game plan. I wasn't prepared. But I'm gonna save myself for the next fight because I know I got a trilogy fight, and it would have given fans a little bit more hope. Like, all right, man, it wasn't his night. He was just caught off guard or whatever. This guy now he's gonna prepare his best and he knows what's up. Now, like I'm looking at it like that's his first loss. He's a damaged fighter. He took a crap load of punishment. I mean, it's gonna be faster in the next fight.
Yeah, especially if he hits him on the ear again.
Well, especially if he wears that whole ensemble to the ring again.
No.
I mean,
no.
That was. I mean, I lost a lot of respect for Wilder on that one, man.
I was actually tweeting back and forth with Big Sarge about that because he posted. He was like, "Oh wow," and then I think because someone posted that interview he did with Joe Rogan, where he said that he runs with a 45-pound death.
Yeah, man.
So Big Sarge was like, "Oh really?"
Yeah, dude. See,
what was his excuse? It was just. I think he should have just taken the loss. Said, "Hey, wasn't my night. I'm exercising my clause, my rematch clause." He could have said it right then and there. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and exercise my rematch clause, and we'll do this one more time. And then boom, that's
it. But that's the thing, dude. Remember, I told you before, like, it's weird. It's weird, but sometimes I look at an undefeated fighter like Dominic Reyes, and I'm like, he hasn't learned how to lose yet.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need to learn how to lose to understand what it takes to be a champion and to be the best. And the thing is, up to this point, Wilder has been getting by on just, athleticism and power. He's a decent boxer, and he also has limitations which are interesting because of his long arms.
Mm-hmm.
They're a positive, but they're also a negative. So he hasn't been as skilled. He's still skilled, but not as skilled as he needs to be at the top of the division. And now and this is what happens when you get that far above in the top tier of boxing and you lose. You don't know how to lose, so you start saying, well, I mean, I'm the greatest, there's no way I could have lost. It must have been because of this 40-pound thing that I wore to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell everybody that. And then you realize, holy crap, that was the dumbest thing I could have done. But it's because he hasn't lost. He hasn't lost before. So
yeah, and I think that's kind of the problem with probably especially in boxing, but you can also see it with I guess it's not as prevalent in the UFC, but especially in boxing, like you basically get protected by your management. You get fed these lower level boxers, so you run up your record to 41-0, 42-0, 42-0, and then you finally hit a boxer. Unfortunately, you have 42 boxes. You have 42 fights underneath you, but you never fought anybody of actual prevalence, I guess, of the same standard to you. And then when you do, you look like that. Like you look just like that. And because like in the first fight, I think he did lose. He's lucky he got that big knockdown especially at the very end. That I'm pretty sure that helped sway a lot of people. But just saying, like, okay, he was getting beat, but because he knocked him down twice, we're gonna go ahead and give him a draw, which I think is kind of crazy as well. Because I still think Fury won that last round because he just kept going forward, and I think Wilder got confused and didn't know what to do, which is kind of like You're supposed to be done. like I should be finishing you right now. But instead, you're walking towards me instead of getting away from me. So I think that was like kind of caught him off guard. And then with this fight, I think I would if he didn't have the excuses, I would be a little bit more interested in the rematch. I don't really care now because I don't like what excuse is he going to come with? What is he going to wear now? Is he going to wear something even heavier? So he could be like, well, the last one was 45 pounds, but this one was 60 pounds.
No, listen, man.
Come on,
This
man.
is the only thing that I will accept from Wilder to wear to the ring, and that's doing an homage to Mike Tyson, getting a white towel, cutting a hole in it, and putting it over his head, and that's the only thing he can wear. He wears anything else besides that, it's a farce.
Yeah, man. I don't care. And then, yeah, I'm just let's just get through this fight so we can get to Fury versus Joshua. And no one's even, you know what, the disrespect for Andy Ruiz, man, just because he got beat by Joshua.
Yeah, but I don't think it's because I don't think the disrespect is there because he got beat by Joshua. I think Andy Ruiz, a motivated and in shape Andy Ruiz, beats Joshua 7 to 8 out of 10 times. But what we saw was an unmotivated, out of shape Andy Ruiz who lost his belt to Joshua, to a very scared and very timid Joshua who stayed on the outside jabbing the whole night because he even in that fight he felt the power of Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's lost a lot of respect. So, and I've been looking at his Instagram. He has some stuff on his Instagram where he's getting back in shape, and I feel he knows that he let Joshua take it from him when he shouldn't have lost to him. So I'm hoping that he comes back in shape, and I think that would be the biggest test for Tyson Fury is a motivated Andy Ruiz, because I think based on the fight that we saw against Wilder, Tyson beats Joshua very easily.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and jump off of that topic and go into, before we get into UFC Norfolk. Also, I haven't rewatched the fight, and so I can't really talk about it as in depth as I'm sure you can, because I'm sure you watched it a couple of times. But Hooker Felder, great fight. Love the fight. I actually like that fight was amazing. Like that's probably one of the best fights of the year so far.
So far, I think it's probably number one right now for UFC.
Those two, and we said it beforehand, those two guys were gonna bang, and that's exactly what they did. We both have it two different ways, but I wanted, before we talk about it, I wanted to go back and watch it, and I didn't have a chance. I'm gonna go ahead. I called it Hooker. I think that the third round is very, very close. And I called it. I understand the numbers are not in my favor, but I think
not in your favor at all.
That's fine. I don't care. I don't care about numbers. Numbers.
I don't care about logic.
People say no. People say that the numbers don't lie, and they sometimes do. And also, I don't go and count those fucking strikes. Like, so how do I know those numbers are real? I honestly do.
So now it's a conspiracy.
No. I just always wonder, like, because I mean, it don't matter what fight. I always like, where do they get these from? Because I always see maybe sometimes I see more strikes that are significant, or I see some that are less significant, and then there's like, I don't know. I guess it's a discrepancy, but I'm not there counting, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have somebody there that actually sits there and counts.
Well, yeah, there's actually, so there was a company. I think there was a company called StatCast, and there's another company called CompuBox, I think. And one of those companies was bought out by the UFC, I think. And that's who does the striking. And it's basically I think it's like one or two people, and one of them's counting one fighter and the other one's counting the other fighter. And I think there's one other person who's counting both, maybe, and kind of trying to keep tabs on it or whatever. So that's from my understanding on it. But I agree. I mean, I don't go back and count them either, but I just, like, with my eyes, I start doing like who do I want to be in that round, and then and then if it's like a super tight round, I start saying who do I want to be that minute. That first minute was this person. The second, that's what I had to do for the Dominic Reyes John Jones fight. But in this fight, I had Felder winning, man, and I also I discounted in the other rounds. I discounted Hooker a lot because. I mean, you could consider it high fight IQ, but he was getting hurt, dude. Everything that Felder was throwing at him was hurting Hooker in the later rounds. Body shots, kicks. the hooks were to the top of the head were wobbling him, and he would immediately shoot in. He would immediately shoot in or clinch or whatever. And to me, as if I'm watching a fight, that fighter doesn't want to fight. Like, I mean, there's one thing where you have high fight IQ and you shoot it and you take him down and you're doing damage. That's saying, okay, this guy's better than me standing. Let me take him down and do damage. But he was doing nothing. Like he was just holding him.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that was his first 5-round fight, right?
That's his first 5-round fight.
I think he probably was getting tired.
He was getting tired. Yeah.
Throwing down because I think he did. Like when you're saying like how the fight went down, and you're mentioning the later rounds. Those are the rounds I have him losing, or the last round, the last 2 rounds. I had Hooker losing the last 2 rounds because I think even though because the first 2 rounds I think undoubtedly went to Hooker. I think he was landing more shots, I think hurting him a little more. But thing is, they were both hurting each other.
Yeah.
So it did come down to who I thought maybe hurt each other, who hurt the person worse. I think because he wasn't shooting in those first 2 rounds, even when he got hurt. First 3 rounds, even when he got hurt, he wasn't shooting. It was in those 4th and the 5th rounds, those championship rounds, that he started getting tired, and those hits I think were just kind of putting a little bit more like lasting effect on him, where he was like, I got to do something. And what do they call it? They call it panic wrestling.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, he's panic wrestling, and we've seen that fail for people. We've seen people get knocked out. They're panic wrestling.
And don't get me wrong, man. Like, I'm not too upset about the.
It's a split decision.
Yeah, right? I'm not too upset. I'm not too upset about it. I the only thing I'd be upset about, and I don't know, he hasn't 100% said it, but it looks like Felder might retire.
I don't want him to, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he retires, then I'll be upset because
I think his management came out and said that he was just kind of in the moment.
Nah, I don't know, man. I think remember I told you when they started talking about retirement, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
When you start talking about it, and being Felder, he has the opportunity to be he's a great, what is it called? The guy who calls a fight, a commentator. He's a great commentator, man. So when you have that and you have that money staring you in the face and you don't have to, be away from your family and take that beating that you took for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right there. Like in other words, if he didn't have that, he's not talking about retirement. But because he has that opportunity or that other choice, you start to do this. Is it worth it?
Yeah,
is it worth it? And at that point, man, I'm telling you, dude, I've seen it too many times. That dude needs to retire. If the retirement came out of his mouth and it's in his head, the only thing I can tell you is the next fight he fights, he's gonna get hurt, man. He's gonna get knocked out or something because he's not gonna be 100% into it like he's been in the past. And he was really into this fight because he knew that if he wins this fight, he's getting a big money fight and he's potentially somewhere sniffing the title shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, who's Hooker fighting now? That they announced who he's fighting, right?
I don't know.
Didn't they say Gaethje or something?
I know that was the top rumor, and well, I have a breaking news from yesterday.
Who's he fighting?
From MMA Junkie too. Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Work for UFC San Diego. That's going to be a fun fight. I don't know. Honestly, don't know who would come out. I think if Hooker needs to work on his last 2 rounds. He needs to start going 15 rounds or 15 minutes. Not 15 minutes, 25 minutes.
I think Poirier would beat him, dude.
Yeah, some crazy power.
If it's the same Hooker that fought Felder, Poirier would knock him out.
But the thing is, it's not. I honestly don't believe it will be because you have to take something away from every single fight.
Yeah, I know.
Get a little better. Honestly, if it is the same Hooker, then he deserves to lose.
Well, you know what? Let's put it this way. That's actually a very good point. That's actually a very good point. I guess not stop saying that, but I need to adjust it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hooker let's say the Hooker that needs to beat Poirier needs to be right here, right? And the Hooker that we saw fight Felder is over here.
If he's not quite
is there enough time for him to get from here to here? And I don't know if there's enough time, for the fight because he needs to, like you said, get better in the 4th and 5th round. Mm-hmm. He can't panic wrestle Poirier. Poirier is not gonna have that. He will probably submit him.
Oh no, yeah, there's definitely not enough time. That UFC San Diego is May 16th.
I'm saying Poirier's gonna beat him, dude.
And the last person Poirier fought was he got dominated and he gave up, but it was Khabib.
It's Khabib. I mean,
Like
and look who he's fought too. He's fought Eddie Alvarez. He's fought who else did he fight? Didn't he fight Holloway? Did he fight Cerrone? Who do you fight?
No, I don't think he fought Cerrone.
What I'm saying is the guys that he fought are murderers row compared to the ones that Hooker has fought. So he's fought tougher competition.
Yeah, and the only reason Hooker's getting this fight is because of this win. Beating Paul Felder, winning, getting the win over Paul Felder is the reason he's going to get that. Because I think now he is going to start getting that murderer's row of challengers.
Now he is, yeah.
He's gonna, and now it's up to him. Now he was an up and comer. Now he's not. Now he's here. Now he needs to start winning.
Okay,
and getting these big wins against these upper echelon guys.
Okay, so let's say this is the last 5 fights that Poirier's had.
Go for it.
Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje.
Win or loss?
They're all wins.
They're all wins. Okay.
Anthony Pettis, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway,
and then
lost to Khabib. So out of these fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, he's fought 4 current or former champions. He's only lost to one of them, and then he fought Justin Gaethje, who we both know he's a beast.
Yeah. So honestly, the only way I am leaning Poirier, but I am saying that Hooker, it's Hooker's time to step up. He better start getting in that octagon and the cage and start going 25 minutes. Because those last 2 rounds, I mean, it always shows when a guy hasn't had a main event or hasn't had a 5-round fight in those last 2 rounds, especially because like once they hit round 3, they're like, okay, I'm done. Like, oh wait, hold on, I have 2 more rounds to go, and it showed. So I really hope he starts getting back in the octagon.
Yeah,
damn it, Paul Felder, don't retire because you still got so much to do. There's so many good fights I think I can see with him in that lightweight division.
Well, look at his last 3 fights. Paul Felder, Ali Quinta, James Vick. Those are the 3 wins in a row. And then right before that, James Vick, he lost to Edson Barbosa by body punch.
So hopefully he got better. We'll see because Poirier's had a lot of, and he's been hungry. He's the one he's been on Twitter calling out everybody. Every time he wants to fight, he calls him out. It was kind of getting annoying because I'm kind of glad he has a fight now. So yeah, man. We'll see what happens there. Like we said, two guys that just went to war, and it was a great fight. Fight fans, UFC fans, stop when something doesn't go your way the way you think it went. Stop saying someone got robbed.
Yeah, those aren't robberies. Those aren't robberies, man.
Jeez, man. Like I was just all over Twitter. Oh, Felder got robbed. Like, no, it was a close fight. Like, it was one of those fights that just didn't go the way that you thought, which is okay. It was a split decision. That means that there were 2 judges that disagree with one other judge there.
I think we should all save the he got robbed for any fight that involves John Jones. I think that's. So
you're gonna say Jan's gonna get robbed?
Jan, I mean, I'm telling you right now. I'm saying it. Jan got robbed.
Jan got robbed. You don't even like Jan that much.
Exactly.
Jeez. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into this UFC Norfolk card. Kind of a sleeper card for me, I think. I was excited for it because I like Figueiredo, and flyweights are usually pretty exciting.
Yep.
But when Figueiredo missed weight, I just kind of was like, I think I shut off.
I don't think you were the only one. I think a lot of people did that.
I was just kind of because when only one person can win the title, it kind of ruins it. And I get why they couldn't cancel this fight or get like a replacement because it's the main event and it's the night before.
Yeah, man, and another thing about this, which is, I don't know, man. I think I have so many negative opinions about this. It is so much BS, dude. Where's the backup fighter? They always have a backup fighter for a damn title fight, and for this title fight, we don't have a backup fighter.
Like, man. Everyone was including me, was so happy that Dana did not get rid of the flyweight division and this happening with Figueiredo, and then not having a backup fighter, just made it where people were just like, all right, why is this division even here? Like
Yeah,
what's
no,
going on?
and I part of my theory with the outcome of the fight is, I mean, Benavidez had a shitload of pressure now, dude, because
Mm-hmm. He
he's
had
having
everything to lose.
he has everything to lose. He has to save the division now because the other guy can't even make weight.
Figueiredo destroyed the
Yes.
division, you think?
Yeah, dude. So, and somebody put it perfectly. I think it wasn't Helwani, it was somebody else. I gotta look him up. But he said, the division, Cejudo saved the division, and then he tried to kill it by leaving it. And now Benavidez is trying to save it against a man who inadvertently is now trying to kill it, because if Figueiredo wins, that's the end of the division. Like there's gonna be no championship. There's gonna be no champion because he didn't make weight.
Yeah, that's what happened. It's
That's
the worst thing that's
exactly
happened.
what happened, man.
But we will get there. We will get there when we get there. Let's go ahead and look at some of these fights in this card. We're not gonna break down every single fight. We're just gonna go over kind of like high points of the card.
Yeah.
So the first one we'll talk about, Elon Cruz, Spike Carlisle. Elon Cruz, the much anticipated debut, especially crazy knee knockout that he gave to Win, which I think Win didn't lose anything in that either. I'm pretty sure we're going to see him again soon. If not on another Dana White Contender Series, and probably when Dana needs another guy to fight, just say, "Hey, Win, you ready to go?"
And he would be ready.
Yeah, and so this guy Spike Carlisle is a guy I've never heard of, though. I will say he's got a very interesting persona, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not a persona. It's probably exactly who he is. But it's very different for the. Okay, well, apparently you agree, but it's very different. I still thought I had Cruz winning this fight, and was just really surprised when what happened. And then I thought I was crazy when I first saw it, but you're kind of confirming what I was thinking. Was that punch looked like he was behind the head?
I mean,
or the elbow. And hold on, I went to go look at Twitter to see if anyone was feeling the same way, and everyone was just raving about Spike, and I was like, it didn't look right. So please enlighten me.
All right, so this fight ended in 1 minute and 25 seconds, and prior to that, Elon looked pretty decent to me. He looked, like the same as the guy that we saw in the Contender Series, and he was, sharp and fast and long. And
I will think he abandoned his. I think when he got, I guess, because he got rocked with that elbow. I think he panicked.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's his first real fight in the UFC. Remember that there's octagon jitters. And a Contender Series is not the same.
No,
it's not the same. It's very small. It's intimate. You feel like you're performing for Dana White to get into the show. This is the show. This is the show, and there's a lot of people, and you can't even hear your family. You can barely hear your corner, so there's jitters. But I thought he was doing good up until that point, like you said. So, in my opinion, from seeing it, and I saw it that day. So that day, I was out at I had a birthday party at Main Event for one of my son's best friends, and so I was trying to watch it there through reception, and I saw this fight, and I saw the highlights of it, and them slowing them down. I couldn't hear what was going on. I didn't have my sound on. I didn't have a headset or anything. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if they're stopping it or what, and then he won. So I was like, whatever. And then just so much stuff going on that I didn't really focus on it. So now going back and seeing it again, yeah, man, that first elbow lands behind the head. There's just, anatomically, the guy's head's down, and he's kind of bringing his elbow across. They're trying to get the side of the head, but that came on top of the head. And as soon as that happened, he wobbled, like his equilibrium went off. And I hate it, man. And I was listening to the commentators too. They say, "Oh, he hit him right behind the ear with his equilibrium." And behind the ears is fair game. Like they say, like do like a mohawk from the back to the front. Like so the mohawk is where you can't hit.
Yeah.
But everything else you can. And I hate it when they say that, because one, that's not the only place where you can get hit in the head where you lose your equilibrium. You know what I mean? Like you can hit the back of the head and your legs fall out from under you. So I mean, and really that does happen. It also happens a lot of boxing, and that's what happened. So his equilibrium got shot. He panicked. He started wrestling, and then I counted. You saw me count like 5 or 6 blows to the back of the head in rapid succession.
Yeah,
And
they
when you
were the hammer. The way he would, because he was trying to get everything he could, and he just was landing everything on the back of the head.
and what I was saying is the refs, yeah, they have a hard time, but that's not hard, man. That's stop the fight, say that's the back of the head. We're gonna take a point because this guy's damaged, and then see if the guy can continue to not call a fight, and then rebook it, whatever.
Yeah,
Instead of letting it go, that guy feels he got a knockout, and the same thing too. And I'm gonna reiterate this later on, but if you're a fighter, man, I mean, what's illegal, man. That you hit him on the back of the head, it's not a good win. It's not a good look. Like I don't want any controversy around my wins.
yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened. So I don't know, man. I mean, I know you said you talked to a guy on Twitter. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know
No, neither.
what kind of. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of guys like that out there. Hell, I'm one of those guys. I feel like I have a lot of experience and watch a lot of fights and see probably more than 90% of people. And I saw that as illegal.
Yeah,
But and the same thing, like I said, it could have been handled differently, but
yeah.
it
And
didn't.
to give the guy credit, the only thing we were talking about was that initial shot.
The first
The
one.
one, yeah, the one that rocked him. That's the one that we were talking about. So I might be wrong. I might have been talking about the actual one that knocked him down. Um,
Well, the part of
I
that
wasn't
too
talking
is
about the other ones. Because those were pretty evident that they were behind the back of the head.
yeah, and the part of that too is what we talk about, or what we're gonna talk about at the end with Figueroa too, is that first shot is the shot that started the ending sequence, and you can't take that back. And you can't take it back. The best thing you could do is try to reset it, which is stop the fight, take a point away, and that point hopefully helps the fighter because he's damaged more than he would have been if he didn't take that shot. But it changes the trajectory of the fight.
Yeah,
So that in my opinion, in my eyes, when I saw that, and I've seen it right now, just in this time, like 3-4 times, that elbow was illegal. That first elbow was illegal. So
all right. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Real quick, 1 second. Jordan Griffin getting the win over TJ Brown. I actually think TJ Brown actually might have won like part of the first round, but then he lost. And then the second round, he gave up his back. He gave his back, and I think it was a rear naked choke. And TJ Brown like legit went out. Like I don't even think he tapped. I think he just went out.
he fell asleep.
Yeah. So big win for Jordan Griffin. The dude looks like a freaking savage. Like I think his I forget his name. He has a nickname, and I'm just like, yeah, that's him. So, like, the native psycho. And you're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
All right. Luis Pena versus Steve Garcia, sorry. And this is one that you kind of hyped me up on. You got me on the Luis Pena hype train, so I'm always excited to see him fight. His last fight, the first fight I saw with Luis Pena did not live up to what you said, but the last fight that he had did. He was really good. I think it was Wyman. No, is it Wyman or something like that?
No. Was it Wyman or was it the other guy that was also coming off of a hiatus? Hold on.
Yeah. What was his name? I thought it was Wyman. Yes, I'm wrong.
So he beat Matt Wyman. He lost to Matt Frivola in October.
Oh, dude, why did I forget that one?
That's the one where remember that guy kept wrestling him.
Oh yeah. Wyman was the one that he TKO'd in
the third round, and it was ugly.
Yeah, and then Frivola just kind of wrestled him. I think he even commented on it saying like that wasn't the fight he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then this one he kind of did what Frivola did to him. Was he just had to keep Garcia at bay. Garcia was landing some big shots, I think. Kind of rocked him and was like, all right. And Pena realized, you know what? I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to do what I have to do to win. And, it works.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, there was a power discrepancy between Pena and Garcia. And you could tell every time he landed. But that just shows me, great fight IQ. That's a great fight IQ, where you actually do something with your position and you do something with your wrestling or thereabouts. So Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
'cause you could see Garcia was starting to get like frustrated because he
couldn't
couldn't
do
do
anything.
anything, which just shows that even if he wasn't going for the or getting the finish, doesn't mean that he wasn't working. He was definitely frustrating Garcia to the point where he couldn't do anything. And I think there's one later that you didn't watch, but that it was the exact same thing where he just
Hmm.
couldn't do anything. So yeah, good win for Pena, and I'm excited to see where he goes next. I still can't get over the fact that every time he fights, he looks so skinny. Like it doesn't. It looks nasty.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, we'll
I
see how
know.
long
I
he
don't think he
keeps
cuts
up.
a lot, but maybe he's just a skinny guy. But jeez,
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like what 6'3", dude.
yeah, he's a big
Uh,
guy. He's tall.
so he's 26 years old. I think he might later on, like in his 30s, maybe have to go up to 170.
Hmm.
But at 170, he does have the height advantage, but he wouldn't have a lot of power. And there's a lot of powerful wrestlers at 170.
Yeah, if the Frivola is any kind of like
That's what I'm saying.
indication, I don't think he'd have a good time at 170.
Yeah.
He'd have to start working on his wrestling for sure.
Yeah.
Also, pretty cool. The pretty cool moment that he had at the end of the
With
fight.
with his brother.
Yeah, with his brother, which is really upsetting that they didn't show it on like on the actual broadcast. I had to see it on like a fan video or something.
No, it was on embedded. They kept
Okay,
talking. Yeah, they kept talking about it on embedded. That's why I was kind of. I'm already interested in finding about Ross,
hmm.
but that little extra added to it, and he just met him the week before, which was pretty cool. And you saw it on embedded.
They didn't show
Uh,
the hug.
I know they
They,
did.
that was my fault. My problem with it was like you got to get that moment, man. Like that's a nice moment. Like I really enjoyed the story. Uh, like when they were explaining what happened on the like during the broadcast, and then him saying what he said at the end. Uh, I would have loved to see that hug, but we didn't get it. So
Yeah, but that's also part of the deficiency that UFC has with building stars, man.
yeah, that's a star building moment. I think that's a nice little character moment. It's not a character, but it's a nice little thing to hold on to and that you carry on to his next fight. You're like, oh man, look at that! Like that's a pretty cool moment. I can't wait to see who he fights next.
You get interested
Type
in
of
it,
thing. Yeah, and we always say that Dana White looks up to Vince, but I think he needs to work on that, man. Like he needs to be in the producer's ear and let him know, like, hey man, like any little if you see a little character moment, like capture it. Like don't be afraid to linger on a shot. I think they're so quick to go into these transitions into the next fight that they don't
Well,
let certain things linger.
I think the gap or yeah, I guess the gap between Dana and Vince on things like that specifically is Dana has built his product around a league, a sports league like NFL, MLB. So he
Mm-hmm.
has people that do the product like that. Whereas he should, in his type of business, people need to know the stories behind the
Mm-hmm.
fighters. He
Yeah, it's
should
an
bring
individual.
he should bring in some people that maybe did the camera work on at the WWE, so that they understand that they're trying to capture those type of moments or those type of little stories within the fight itself, or
Mm-hmm.
with the corner too. Like there's a lot of corner stuff that I feel that is missing from the UFC, where like they'll say, Uriah Faber's in the corner. Okay, well, why? Well, Uriah Faber's been, teaching this guy since he was 16 years old, and
Matt
so
Serra.
yeah, or something like exactly. And Matt Serra on the other end, his crazy personality,
That's yeah,
and they have all that in the corner. They have 3 or 4 cornermen, man. Like there's a lot of stories back there. Like think about too. Like let's say for example that Uriah Faber thing that I said. He's been teaching him since he's 16. This guy's 26 years old now. He just got married and he's taking a beating. What is going through Uriah Faber's mind right now? Seeing this 16, the guy that he was 16, he got him through all the ways. Does he want to throw in the towel? Is he going to throw in the towel? Does he need? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
there's more. There's more that there could be there, but because Dana does it as a sport and like a more NFL, baseball, NBA thing, they miss a lot of those things.
Yeah, and I mean, and you're seeing things like I don't know if you've been keeping up, but like with baseball, I don't particularly love baseball. Like it's something that I do kind of get. I don't watch a lot of games until October. Just
I
because
love
the
baseball.
season's so damn long. I think it is a little bit hard for me to get involved. But with these, I don't know if you noticed on ESPN, they've been doing those all access games where they're miking up players, and those players are having conversations, and you can see the players' personalities shine through, and it's helping the sport, I think.
Yeah,
and you need that with UFC, because even though UFC's young, you can see how hard it is for them to create a star, to find a star. And when you don't have, it's not like, and even though it's a team sport, baseball's fallen into that. But like with the NFL is already exciting. You don't need to focus on individuals. A lot of times, I think when you focus on individuals, a lot of times we're focusing on the negative aspect of individuals instead of, shining on certain things that maybe should be shined on. With UFC, it's an individual. With NFL, NBA, it's a team, so it's a little bit easier to become invested. It's also, it's your city. You have fans. I grew up cheering for this team. Blah blah blah. With fighters, like you're only getting these fighters for a certain amount of time. It's not like you can be like, yeah, I've been following that fighter since I was a kid, and like, no, most likely they're not going to be around anymore.
Yeah,
so you have to kind of speed up the process of becoming invested, and that's where the WWE can come in handy. Even though they've had their I think their little their shortcomings in terms of that recently, but they're getting a little bit better at it. But before, like, think about it, they created The Rock, they created Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was all Vince McMahon. Like, he helped nurture those characters into becoming something beyond WWE.
But you say that, and he created them, but I don't. Obviously, it's not apples to apples. Obviously, they write the stuff on WWE. There's writers' room, all that. But they also have the luxury of messing up, because didn't The Rock come out before and he wasn't The Rock?
Oh yeah, he was Rocky Maivia.
Yeah, and the same thing with Stone Cold. Stone Cold was something else before he became Stone Cold.
He was with Brian Pillman, and then he was the ringmaster
with Ted DiBiase. He was with Ted DiBiase too, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you're able to repackage and all that stuff.
Yeah, you can't really do that with fighters,
No,
but
the right person.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's why, like, they have to do other things. And going to the thing that you talked about, the MLB, it's funny you say that, because I've been all about that all access stuff. But there's already pushback from the managers and some of the players, because they're saying that, and I hate it when people do this too, like, let it happen first and then you can deal with it. But they're saying that right now they only they've been miking up everybody, but in the past they used to only mic up outfielders, and they don't want to mic up infielders because they get more action, they get more balls hit to them. So they're saying that as soon as a guy that's mic'd up makes a play or makes an error and it costs them a run, they're gonna blame that, because there has to be 1,000% focus, and when they're mic'd up, they can't focus 1,000%.
You know what it is? It's and I just listened to an argument about this. It's the marijuana argument. Oh, if we legalize marijuana, the people that abuse it will abuse it. But the majority of people aren't going to abuse it. The majority of people are going to be responsible. Like, look at drinking, look at smoking, look at all that. Like, much more dangerous substances, but they're regulated. And when you don't do something because one person might abuse it, or one person might do, or will blame it on that, it's just like, it's not a logical argument. You're not making a logical argument, and I don't think that's not a logical argument to me.
Well, they're and I feel like they're taking one step forward, two steps back, because today, I think it was today or yesterday, they announced that more than likely they're going to be taking away the replayability in the dugouts for a batter to go back and see his at bat, because that's what the Astros and everybody else has been using to try to steal
sides. Stop saying everybody else. That doesn't fit the narrative.
Okay. The Astros, and only the Astros, and only when
Stop stating facts.
That they're gonna take that away. And JD Martinez came out today, either today or late yesterday, and said that it's a detriment to the game to take that away, especially for someone like him, who he records every BP at bat, including all his regular season at bats. And he goes because he can't. He's not the type of player that can go off a field like, I know my wrists are too inside my body, or I know they're too wide, or my elbows too high or too low. He has to see it on video.
He's a visual learner.
Yeah, so he can see it. So I don't know, man. From what I understand, they've already made the decision and starting with the regular season, they're taking it away, which is also stupid because you're allowing it in preseason and in spring training. But once you get to the real and they're used to it, and now for the regular season, you're gonna take it away.
Yeah,
So
very
I don't
odd.
know.
That's baseball for you, though. They're stuck in the Stone Age. It's all about like that's why people want no replays. Like why would we want the human error element? Like, come on, guys! Like, you got to stop living in the past. It's time to move the sport forward. That's why the sport, I think, is behind. Even though it used to be America's pastime, I don't necessarily believe it's America's pastime anymore. I think that belongs more to the NFL and to the NBA.
Well, it's the NFL, and even the NFL is having some.
They're getting into that.
They're having some challenges themselves as well. They also have a competitor now in the XFL that looks like it's going to be viable. So
looking good. 4-0 Reflex?
Yeah, 4-0. Yeah.
Ooh, only undefeated team. What's up?
Hey man, I mean that's what Houston does.
Walker is so fun to watch, man.
The wide receiver too. What's his name?
Dang it. Oh man, I should not forget his name. Is it Porter?
No. It starts with the C, I think.
I'm gonna look it up real quick. Go ahead and talk more about. I just want to say because we were talking about Pena. This is how it all got started, and them needing to kind of stick on that shot. And you're saying that the WWE has the what am I trying to say? They have the advantage of being able to reset, start over. They're able to make mistakes. That's why I don't think that should necessarily matter. I think it could, but I don't think it necessarily should because of the fact that Dana doesn't have to create these guys. He just has to find little moments that he can focus on. So like Luis Pena didn't create that or didn't come up with that. That's just something that's going on in his actual life that Dana could have capitalized on. And I think with Ankalaev later, he could capitalize on that, but in the opposite way, where you create a kind of heel persona in the UFC because of what happened at the end of that fight. So I think Dana should just do better and have. It's not necessarily only on him, but maybe bring more guys in that can notice things like that, focus on those shots. Because Ankalaev, they did focus on it. They did kind of linger on that shot, which I was actually really happy about it. And you can even have my only problem is that you had Bisping in the background. It's not his fault, and I'm like, oh, come on. you don't need to protect him. He's a grown man. You let him do what he's gonna do. But
yeah, I mean, and you know what? The funny thing is he knows how to do that because Dana White knows how to do what we're talking about because he does it on the Tuesday Night Contender Series.
Yeah.
You know, he's just not doing it for the whole roster, which I feel is a
mistake.
Missed opportunity. The wide receivers, Cam Phillips.
I just looked at it. Yeah, I just found it. Fantastic. If he's not, which I really hope. I guess I don't want it to happen.
Don't say it.
You don't think he's gonna get workouts? Come on.
No, I mean he is, but I don't think.
I would love him to stay.
Yeah,
I do think he's gonna get workouts. He's gonna get invited to some like camps.
My man, I feel like
I don't want that to happen because I don't want guys to be flip flopping.
Yeah,
I don't want the XFL to be the minor leagues for the NFL.
Exactly. That's exactly like if you start doing that, that's exactly what's gonna start happening. Yeah, and that's first impressions, man. Like this is the first year, so if this happens after the first year, then that's what the expectation is gonna be. So if I'm Vince McMahon and I see these top guys that are getting invited, I'm bringing them in and flying them on my private jet and saying, hey, what is it going to take for us to keep you on board?
And what you'll see is you'll have more like his WWE contracts where you will be basically you'll have to either I'll have to cut you or you'll have to play out your contract.
I mean, maybe, and that would, I mean, as long as it's a lot of money for them and less games for their body, I would be okay with it. But I would also, if I was Vince, I'd make it a huge deal, man. I'd make a press conference and, I'd make the headline,
we're re-signing Cam Phillips.
Yeah, Cam Phillips rebukes the NFL and stays with the XFL.
Absolutely.
And I'd put the numbers out there, man. 2 years, 18 million, and the wide receivers in the NFL gonna be like, wait a second, hold on. I'm better than Cam Phillips, and he's getting paid more than me for less games? Oh, no. Let me see what they got to offer. That's what I and the thing is, Vince McMahon has the money to do that, man.
He does. All right. We jumped into some Roughnecks talk, and that'll be the last Roughnecks talk for the day. Let's go ahead and jump into this next one. I didn't really care for the heavyweight fight. It was just kind of boring, honestly.
Yeah, let's just
So we're not gonna talk about it. Let's talk about Brendan Allen taking on Breeze. Hold on, I have his first name here. Tom Breeze in the middleweight division, and I'm telling you, Brendan Allen has, I think, the tools to make it. I think. Well, I guess because it's a middleweight division, it's a little different. There's a lot more strikers in the middleweight division, right? If you look at the division up and down, there's a lot more strikers in the middleweight division. I guess if this was the welterweight division, I might feel even stronger. But I think Brendan Allen could make some waves if he continues down this path in the middleweight division. He just looked really good. I think he was able he was just better than Breeze in every aspect, whether it was striking or taking or on the ground. I think it wasn't even Brendan Allen that took him down, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember watching this fight.
Okay, well, I think Breeze actually took him down and then ended up regretting it right away. Because if I remember, that's what Brendan Allen likes to do. Is he likes to wrestle.
I immediately regret my decision, is what he said.
Yeah, basically. All right. Another one that you didn't watch. I would actually go back and watch this one if you can.
The Phillips
and Kyler Phillips. Yeah. Kyler Phillips was just superior in every single way. No matter where, if Silva wanted to keep it standing, Phillips was rocking him over and over again. If Silva wanted to go to the ground, Phillips was doing like transitions that you see in movies, like what he was doing, where he was like literally like, I've never seen anybody move around so much on the ground in terms of like constantly switching their position. It was insane. So definitely check that one out. Kyler Phillips getting a big one there. That's one that I went, like, I left this card and said I'm gonna watch Kyler Phillips next fight for sure.
So he got in your head on that one.
He did. All right. Do you want to talk about Dawson and Minner or Minor? I don't know.
Minner. Yeah. So that fight, that's the one that the guy didn't make weight, right?
Yeah, Dawson did not make weight.
Hold on. Dawson didn't make weight. God damn it. Why did he do that? Okay, yeah, Dawson didn't make weight. But I mean, he looked phenomenal in this fight, dude.
He looked great. I want to watch his next fight. I can't wait to see it because he looked so good in this fight. Minner didn't know what to do. As soon as Dawson got that rear naked choke on him, he tapped immediately. Yeah,
because he knew. He knew. Yeah. So he had he dominated the total strikes, 42 out of 52 to 26 out of 29. Better overall significant strikes and also on takedown attempts, 2 out of 3. But I mean, Derek Minner also had some submission attempts, and there was like scrambling going on, man. Which I always think is that's the fun part of fighting, man. Like trying to best your opponent at the same thing and finding out who's better. And in this case, it was just Grant Dawson who was way better than Derek Minner at this time. And if you look at the records, Dawson is 15-1, Minner's 23-11. So Dawson, obviously the prospect, he didn't make weight, and it's at featherweight, so he needs to get that down, dude, because featherweight is a good division for him.
He looks big for the division too. He looks jacked.
He didn't make weight, man. So
well, yeah, you're not wrong. But I'm saying he looked jacked. Like he maybe should probably be fighting in lightweight. But if he can make weight, consistently,
he's a problem.
He is a problem, definitely. Look Holloway against the bigger guy in Poirier. Even though he went all 5 rounds with him, he couldn't hurt him. He couldn't really do anything. He was just kind of like.
Well, why are we talking about Holloway when the real champion is Volkanovski?
Well, because Holloway's going to win the belt back.
Yeah, because Volkanovski's not a real champion. Thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, I thought we already knew that. I thought I was just saying I wasn't bringing up the paper champ. But yeah, man. And actually, in that fight, Minner, I think, was winning that first round at first, and then right at the end of the round, Dawson had him in the choke, and then it was the end of the round. And then basically right where he picked up in the second round, got him right into that rear naked choke, because it was only a minute and 39 into the second round where he got the submission. It was like, okay, saw that coming.
And that's where it backfires, man. Like, there's a lot of fighters who their theory on fighting is, steal the round at the end. Not necessarily steal it, but steal it or seal it. Like, go for a takedown and get the takedown at the very end of the round to seal that round for yourself or to steal it. And sometimes what happens is if you haven't been on the ground for the most part of the fight, the first round or the round, and you go down and your opponent sees something, you actually give your opponent advantage because now he sees, okay, this guy's not as tough on the ground. I didn't have to spend that much time because the round ended. Let me see if I can catch him, and that's basically what happened. He saw Dawson saw that he had an advantage on the ground, and he said, all right, well, let me take advantage of my advantage and finish this fight in the second round.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. So very rarely do we get this, but we had two women's featherweight fights on this card. The first one right here, Megan Anderson versus Dumont. Hold on, her first name, Norma Dumont. And in this fight, so the only reason I know Megan Anderson is because of her tattoos. Like she's very, very recognizable.
And because she's very tall.
And she's very tall. She's huge. Although I did see someone, and I'll talk about it in a minute. But so Norma Dumont goes in and they start striking, but Megan doesn't really hit anything. I think Norma knew exactly what she wanted to do, and she wanted to go up against the cage. But because Anderson was so tall, she had a hard time taking her down. And so Megan Anderson was able to get out of it, and they kind of they square off. They throw hands a little bit. And then Megan lands a punch that it didn't even seem that hard, but it laid Dumont out.
They just landed right on the button and twisted her jaw.
Yeah, so very impressive, I would say, able to fight off the wrestler. But I think Felicia Spencer actually ended up later on in the fight, overshadowing her because of how dominant her win was. So I completely see why she got the win. It was against probably a lesser opponent, but the way it was the fashion. It was the dominance, the violence, and she even said it in her interview, and we'll get to it later. But what I didn't like that I was going to mention was that someone kind of threw a backhanded, like when she was celebrating her win on Twitter, people were like celebrating it, and it was like, oh yeah, if only you weren't 6 feet tall. Like, are you really going to use someone's length as a way to like bring them down?
I mean it's Twitter, dude, or online or whatever. But I mean, if I'm trying to,
they must have been a really big Dumont fan.
Yeah. But the thing too about this fight, Dumont got tired, man. In that 3.5 minutes, she got tired of trying to take her down and wasn't able to do it.
They say that all the time too.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're gonna get tired after 3 minutes, dude, I mean, you don't belong in the octagon.
Not ready. Yeah. And they always say like that going for a takedown and not getting it is the most tiring part of it.
Very demoralizing. And even Anderson, dude, whenever she did land the punch afterwards, I don't know if you saw, she made a gesture towards her corner, like surprised that it knocked her out too,
Yeah.
But
that wasn't even my hardest hitter.
Well, I think that's part because remember I've told you before that the way fighters describe whenever they hit a punch clearly, like 100%.
It doesn't feel like it lands.
It doesn't feel like you hit anything, and I think that's what happened. But
so hi.
But I think what that guy was trying to say about her being 6 feet tall is usually when you're tall like that, it's easier for a fighter to take you down, and it's harder for them to wrestle because their center of gravity is so high. And we've seen that problem with Megan Anderson in the past. I guess she just got better, or Dumont isn't as good of a wrestler as but that's always going to be a problem for Megan Anderson because she's so tall. Is people trying to take her down to avoid her striking.
I mean, she's gigantic, man. She's very lean for like her height.
Dude, she's very lean, man. If you've seen her Instagram, she's very lean.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, like
we're gonna move on. All right. Next up, this is the one that we really want. We'll probably spend the most time talking about this one.
Yes.
Ion Kutalaba taking on Magomed Ankalaev. Don't ask me to say those names again. Well, I guess we're gonna have to because this fight's gonna happen again because of what happened. So let's talk about the pre-fight. The pre-fight. So Bruce Buffer's doing his introductions. Magomed looking he's a Russian, so he's looking very much like a
very Russian.
Yeah, very Russian. That's the way to put it, I guess. They're doing his, just chilling, ready for the fight to start. Then you have Kudalaba. Where is he from? I'm sorry.
He's from Brazil, isn't he?
Brazil. No. He had like a blue and is he?
Hold on.
Is he Venezuelan?
Moldova. He's Moldovan.
Okay, I'm not gonna pretend like I know where that is.
That's the one from X-Men. The next movie. No, I'm just joking.
That's not that. But yeah, so Kudalaba, I guess, got a little carried away.
Hold on, real quick. So I'm looking at his Wikipedia, and I'm looking at Moldova, and I'm laughing, right, because I said that it's from X-Men. This guy's nickname is the Hulk, dude. Come on, man. You can't make that up, man.
The only similarity that the Hulk and the X-Men have is they're at Marvel. There's no similarity.
That's all you need.
All right, whatever. I'll let you have that one. So yeah, I guess Kudalaba gets a little bit carried away, a little ahead of himself, walks right into Ankalaev, and I think Ankalaev kind of went into like instinct mode because he was like, "I'm gonna take you down. You want to get out of my face? I'm gonna take you down." Which I don't hold anything against Ankalaev. Even the ref had to tell right before he told like okayed the fight to go. He even said, like, guys, y'all gonna get y'all.
Yeah, like, relax. We're already here. It's not a weigh-in or anything.
Yeah, we're not months. It's not in the press conference. This isn't a dance-off. We're not gonna. You're not far away. You're literally about to start. So relax. So I didn't take too much away from. I didn't make too much of it. Didn't make it a big deal. It was just like kind of different. Don't see that very often.
So a little bit, real quick, a background for me on Kudalaba. I don't like the guy. I haven't liked the guy. He just seems like he thinks he's better than what he actually is. And if you look at his record, he's lost to the big name good fighters. He's lost to Glover Teixeira, Jared Cannonier, Misha Cirkunov. Those are the three losses that he has in the UFC. So last September he was fighting Khalil Roundtree coming off the Glover Teixeira loss, and he looked really bad.
I do remember that.
And I picked Roundtree because obviously Roundtree's a beast, and I thought he was gonna win, and he went in there and he freaking manhandled Khalil Roundtree.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I still don't like him. I don't like him as a person / fighter for the dumb stuff he does, but he looked really good against Roundtree. So I was interested in this fight. And then when that happened before the fight started, I was like, man, this is, Kudalaba basically, because he does stupid stuff like this all the time, and I just don't like him. I just don't like him,
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the fight. So this fight only lasted 41 seconds.
38 seconds.
38 seconds. Okay, I got the UFC one, but I guess the UFC doesn't know what they're doing. So Ankalaev, so they're both standing up. You could tell these guys really wanted to fight each other. They're both standing. I don't know what the hell Kudalaba is doing because I guess in real time those kicks look like they land, but when you look back at the replay, none of them landed. But he looks like he's wobbling, and it was very similar to, not as bad, but it automatically took me to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight where he just looked wobbly on his feet, and that's what it looked like. And so it happens a couple times that he wobbles like about 3 times, and then Ankalaev actually lands a shot, and the ref calls the fight.
The ref calls it. Yeah. So my view on that is a couple things. To me, he reminded me of Cain Velasquez when he gets wobbled, because that's exactly how he looks. He's like all like rocking and eyes wide open, but if you go back and look at it, it does seem like he's playing around, like he's playing possum. It's a stupid strategy. That's the stupid stuff that Kudalaba does, is just stupid stuff. But like you said, nothing was landing. The ref, in my opinion, should not have stopped that fight, because you're supposed to stop it if they can't intelligently defend themselves. And he was defending himself. He was throwing punches back. So why would you stop that fight? Like, I know if they're out on their feet, but if they're out on their feet, usually they're not throwing. They're just standing there taking punches.
He was still throwing.
You know what I mean? He was still in a defensive position. He was still in a position to attack. He wasn't up against the fence, defenseless, like covering up or shelling. He was throwing. I just felt like in that instance, the ref saw the earlier wobbles, quote unquote wobbles, whatever they were, and he kind of panicked and didn't want to see him flattened out. Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly, that's Kudalaba's fault, man. Like,
That's where I was. That's where I'm coming from.
You can't blame anybody but himself, and that's his fault. He's damn lucky that he's getting a rematch. Because if it was me and I'm Dana, I'm like, no, dude, you fucked up. This isn't. We're not here to play. Like, okay, you do it one time, you do it, but you gotta understand that this strategy comes with an inherent risk of the ref stopping the fight because he feels that you really are hurt. So that's what happened. So
you're trying to trick your opponent. You're not supposed to trick the ref. Like, you're not supposed to make the ref believe that you're out. Like,
you gotta live with your decision, man. That's the decision he made. That's the risk he took, and the risk didn't pay off. So if it was me and I'm the UFC, I'm not giving this rematch. You take the L and move about your business and stop forking around inside the octagon.
Yeah, but you had so much because like all of the backlash wasn't at Cutelaba, which I believe it should have been. When I watched the fight, I was like, no, like even though the ref probably shouldn't have stopped it, but when you don't give the ref any other choice, like, and the refs got to make very in-game, like very quick decisions, very, very like it's bang bang, I guess, you got to make quick, fast decisions, and when his decisions depend on protecting a fighter,
that's what I'm saying. Like his bang bang decision is the difference between a guy breaking his leg or getting a concussion and not. He's gonna err on the side of caution and just say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right here.
Yeah, you almost saw it with Murgliata in that main event fight. He literally almost called the fight because he thought Benavidez' arm broke, even though it was just him turning. But he almost jumped in, and I think Murgliata maybe has a little bit way more experience than McDonald does. But it doesn't change the fact that even a veteran referee like him almost stepped in and stopped that fight there. And imagine, oh my God, like how bad that would have been. Like that place was going. This wasn't even like a big fight, Cutelaba versus Ankalaev, and the entire crowd was booing. Like it was deafening. I don't like the translator couldn't hear Michael Bisping, and it looked like the translator couldn't, and Ankalaev couldn't hear the translator. It kind of went both ways, and it was just so loud. So let's go to the end of the fight, the post fight. You have the crowd booing, and I don't necessarily believe they're booing Ankalaev. I think they're just still mad at the situation. But you have Ankalaev flipping off the crowd, and I can say right now, I'm not mad at it.
Well, I mean, I think so. I think you said the crowd is not booing Ankalaev. I mean, I would like to think that, but there's a lot of dumb people in the crowd that are probably booing him. He's Russian.
We're gonna get into that because I have a problem with the main event crowd.
Yeah, he's Russian, and at the same time, like there's a language barrier, so he doesn't know whether you are or you're not, and he's gonna assume that you are because he's the one talking or he's the one being translated for. I'm okay with it, man. Like, hey, y'all got something to say with him, tell it to him in the octagon, see how that goes.
Exactly. And I like this is where I'm gonna commend the UFC. They lingered on that moment. They lingered, even though at one point they blurred it because it was on even though it's on ESPN Plus. I think if it's on ESPN Plus, things shouldn't be blurred. Things probably shouldn't be censored. It's on ESPN Plus. Who cares?
Yeah, you're paying for it.
Yeah, it's different when it's on ESPN. It's completely different. But when it's on ESPN Plus, especially like the post show, but they I guess they told them after the first few post shows that they were like, hey guys,
you need to blur this.
Stop the cursing. It's getting bad. And because the UFC is a very macho sport. The MMA is a very macho sport, so there's guys cursing up a storm, and I think the UFC probably was like, the ESPN was probably like, hey guys, can we stop this? But I think that it's they blurred it real quick, but then they started showing it. They didn't. I think ESPN probably was just like, it's the middle finger. Who cares? Like, it's not that big a deal. So you're not really interested in a rematch?
Obviously I'm gonna watch it, but I don't think it's deserved by any stretch.
Yeah, I think when you do make a stupid decision, I wouldn't do that. Like, come on. And I'm not even this smart. I don't have a great fight IQ. All right, let's go ahead and get into the next one real quick before we jump into the main event. So this is the co-main event, and it's actually, I always like enjoy when they have kind of fights you wouldn't expect to be co-main events to kind of get those spots. Even though I don't even know who this fighter she was fighting was, but I think Felicia Spencer definitely earned the co-main event spot after taking Chris Cyborg 3 rounds. And we'll jump into that during this segment. We'll jump into why I think Felicia Spencer is the right person to get what she has coming to her. But that sounded bad. I didn't mean like that.
That's a good way to put it.
I guess, yeah, it is kind of a good way to put it because it is going to be kind of bad. But so yeah, Felicia Spencer taking on Zara Farn.
Yes.
And this was just one of those things that Felicia Spencer, even though Zarin was the bigger woman, Felicia Spencer just looked much more like she just was better. She was probably just had a lot more experience under her belt. Was able to get around Zarin's length to land a few shots, took it to the ground where she wanted it, and just dominated. It was bad. Some of those elbows really, and I think Bisping said it best. He cringed, and there are some of those elbows that you're just like, no, stop. And the ref probably should have called it a little earlier than he did. But I guess he was trying to, after the Kudalaba and Ankalaev situation, he was trying not to get on the crowd's bad side. But I think this was warranted, and
they wanted blood.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna let them get their time to enjoy this, and then I'm gonna call it, because Felicia Spencer was just dominant in every way.
He was like, Farn, I gotta sacrifice you. I'm sorry.
Because there is something bad, and
I gotta sacrifice you to the blood gods that are in the.
As soon as Spencer got up, you even heard Merculata yell out to the side, "She has a big cut on her eye."
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. She took a bunch of elbows right to the eye.
Oh, so, dude. I mean, I think this fight is indicative of
where the featherweight division is.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no numbers beside either one of these fighters or Megan Anderson,
there's no fighters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So one,
the flyweight division is in trouble, but this is the division that should probably be in trouble.
Yeah. Two, I mean, if you look at women's MMA in general, this is kind of where it's at as far as where men's MMA was, 10, 12, 13 years ago, where if you
the same guys.
Yeah, it's the same guys as recycling, but if you have a strong, dominant wrestler, and then their opponent doesn't know how to wrestle or doesn't know how to counter it even a little bit, this is what's gonna happen. Yeah. And I have no doubts that a standing fight between Farn and Spencer would have been a little bit more competitive. This isn't kickboxing, this is MMA.
Yeah, and I know everything.
Spencer's gonna take you down just like she did to Megan Anderson. She dominated Megan Anderson because she kept taking her down, and Megan Anderson couldn't stop it. So and that also goes. We just saw Megan Anderson earlier in the fight card, and she knocked the girl out. I couldn't take her down, but if you can take her down, you neutralize her striking. And Megan Anderson doesn't have the greatest counter wrestling skills, and Farn now we saw doesn't have any.
None. Zero.
And so Spencer's gonna dominate as long as she can wrestle somebody down, And so now the fight that they've set up with Spencer and Nunes, now to me it gets very interesting, because Spencer has shown that she can take punches, dude, because she took punches from Cyborg.
3 rounds of Cyborg.
Spencer has shown that she can wrestle anybody, right? Nunes just fought. Who did she just fight that she was wrestling? Durandame.
She wrestled her because
she was worried about her stand up. So what's gonna happen? She's not gonna be able to do that to Spencer. On the opposite end, Spencer's gonna try to wrestle Nunes.
Try to keep her standing.
Yeah, well, keep her standing. But like, in other words, this is the most interesting fight at 145 pounds for the women's featherweight division.
And I think you also saw, and she mentioned in her interview, she's trying to show a little bit more violence. Like that she can be violent, because this is a violent sport. If you're not violent, what are you doing? Exactly,
man. I went back and I saw like one of her first interviews, post-fight interviews, and then to this one, I'm like, okay, she I don't know if she's playing a part or what, but like you said, like she's trying to be more vocal and more definitive, so she can get either fans or get haters, so she can get pushed to the top of the division.
She's doing what she has to do.
Yeah, to get the title fight, and she got a title fight. So good for her, man. I mean, she's good. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about her skill. She's a good fighter, and the fight against Nunes, I'm very interested in.
Mm-hmm. I am too. Because I think I told you I was interested in Spencer after she went, even though she lost, even though she went 3 rounds with Cyborg. I was like, dude, she's tough as nails. Like that's not easy to do.
Exactly.
What was it? Who was it that didn't take the fight with that didn't want to fight Chris Cyborg? And was
Jermaine
it
Durandamy? Yeah.
And it's like, and Duranamy's tough, you know. So when
Mhm.
someone like Duranamy doesn't want to fight Cyborg, when then Felicia Spencer goes 3 full rounds with her, taking big shots, it does make you think. Like, makes you wonder what's going to happen in this fight against.
And it was a close fight. It wasn't, a domination by Cyborg by any stretch.
No, and I think that's why people were like, even though they didn't want to see her go when she left, it was more like, okay, like go on to better, probably different matchups over there in Bellator. Yeah. So we weren't upset. Whereas like if someone like, I don't know, name a fighter, like a popular fighter to leave,
Max Holloway.
If Max Holloway left and you found out Max Holloway's leaving, people would be upset. People would be very mad. You probably even say Dustin Poirier because people love Poirier.
Like we do love Poirier, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of Poirier love. So Felicia Spencer getting this, I'm excited to see where this is. Did it say? Oh, in May, right?
No, that's too close, dude. I don't think it's May.
No, is it? Then it might be June.
I sent it to you, right?
Yeah, it might be June then.
May 9th in Brazil.
Yeah, it's a very quick turnaround, but as you saw, Felicia Spencer didn't really expend too much energy and take any damage.
Dude, she's gonna end up fighting Cyborg and Nunes within 10 months of each other.
Dude, good on her. And the fact that but that also shows what level she's at, because we said she fought Chris Cyborg to a very close decision, and now she's gonna fight probably the GOAT of women's MMA in Amanda Nunes, and we're actually giving her I wouldn't say we're giving her a chance. We're giving her probably the best chance out of all the other women that are on the roster. Like I don't want to see her fight Megan Anderson until I can see Megan Anderson can strike with the best, because she wasn't super impressive in that fight against Dumont with her striking. Mm-hmm. And Nunes can wrestle. She's not the greatest wrestler, but she can wrestle. And she'd probably just take down Megan, and Megan has shown to be down. I think Felicia and Nunes are probably about the same size, if I'm not mistaken. They look close.
Megan's taller.
No, not Megan. I'm saying Felicia and Nunes are very close in stature.
I would say Nunes is a little bit taller.
A little bit taller. Okay, so in that same, so Megan has a problem with women that are probably shorter than her, because everyone's shorter than her. But with Felicia Spencer, it's gonna be a lot. I think it's gonna be way more interesting. And I'm not gonna give her a big chance, but I will give her a chance to beat Nunes, because if Nunes can't keep her standing, can Nunes take the ground and pound from Felicia Spencer? So I don't know. We'll see, man. Because Nunes she flourishes when someone wants to bang with her. When someone wants to throw hands with her, let's do it, until she feels the power, like with Durandamy, and said, okay, now I'm gonna take you down. But if Felicia Spencer lands a shot, because she landed a few, didn't rock Farron, but it definitely landed flush.
Yeah, it's enough to keep them at bay and to make them respect her hands,
Mm-hmm. So if Nunes feels that and then goes in for a takedown, she's going to be at the disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting, man, because if depending on what Nunes we see, is she going to try to? I mean, that's the other thing too. Nunes might want to wrestle Felicia Spencer, because who's wrestled Felicia Spencer before?
Like been the attacker.
Yeah, she might say, I've never seen her fight off her back.
Can she counter wrestle?
That's what I'm saying. She's never seen that. So that's a possibility,
All right.
That's what I'm saying. This fight is so interesting because there's so many levels to it.
Yeah. And let me just say, it's very refreshing to see a double champ that's willing to defend both belts. It's very refreshing. Even though there's only 4 people in
What
the division.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say here? Is there another
I'm not
champ that didn't want
saying
to defend the belt or something? I mean, I know
no.
a champ that wants to go to another division and get a triple belt. They call him Triple C. I don't know if you've heard of him. He already has 3 Cs. He wants to get a 4th C.
Well, technically, he only has 1 belt because as of that fight, he only has 1 belt. Because I think they even said as of the fight starting, the title is officially vacant. So no, there's no more there's no more Triple C.
You can't take away his Olympic championship.
I didn't say I'm taking that away.
You said he only has 1 belt.
Or sorry, fine. He's a double champ.
The double champ.
But he can't defend those gold medals. He can't defend them.
Technically he can.
I mean, he can put them on the line, I guess. But why would you?
If Kurt Angle did it.
That's true. But that was also in WWE. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this main event. Joseph Benavidez challenging Davison Figueiredo for the flyweight title. I'm saying challenging because he's the only one that could win the title. Because Davison Figueiredo does not weigh in, doesn't make weight. He weighs in at 127 and a half. So a whole 2.5 pounds over. Because as we know, with title fights, you have to weigh in at exactly whatever weight limited it is. Can you weigh in under if you're?
Yeah, you can weigh in under.
Okay, as long as you weigh in under, but you cannot be over. It can't be 126.
I think when Machida won his belt, he weighed in at 203.
203. Okay.
In the 205 division. So yeah,
I never understood how that worked because everyone is always at the limit.
Yeah, because they're trying to just
go down
and then go right back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, man. I mean, Figueiredo missed weight by 2.5 pounds, which is a ridiculous amount of weight.
Especially for a title fight.
I mean, for the title fight, for the division, I mean, think about it like this. If a 205 pounder misses weight by 2.5 pounds, what percentage is that of his body weight? Mm-hmm. Now, if a 125 pounder does it, what percentage is that of his body weight? It's just a ridiculous amount of weight for a 125 pounder to be over. Mm-hmm. And it just screwed everything. It screwed everything. Triple C, I know as much as you hate to love him or love to hate him or whatever it is. I
don't know, man. I go back and forth, man.
That's what it is with him, man. Like sometimes he's cringy, sometimes he's funny, sometimes but you can't deny the man and his accomplishments. He basically did. I don't care what anybody says. He did save the division with his gift of gab and being able to draw attention to the division.
Then he abandoned it.
And then he abandoned it because he went up to 135. He got the championship there. He probably sees better, easier fights there. He already defended that belt, right?
The flyweight?
No, the bantamweight.
The bantamweight? Well, no, he's only won it. He won
from Moraes, yeah. So, but remember, I think the reason why he hasn't been fighting is because of the shoulder surgery.
He hasn't recovered yet.
He hasn't recovered, but he saved the division. So now the division was up in limbo again because he said he wasn't going to be defending it, so he vacated the belt. And the UFC, and he told the UFC he was going to fight at 135 when he came back. Mm-hmm. So the UFC put on a fight between the next 2 challengers, which is Joseph Benavidez and Davison Figueiredo. And even then, Benavidez had been retired, or he was contemplating retirement or something. There was something to go on with his retirement. He came out of retirement to get this fight because he's never been a champion at any division. He's fought at 135.
He's in the inaugural flyweight championship, if I'm not mistaken.
He lost. He lost
to Demetrius Johnson.
He did to Demetrius Johnson, and dude, Demetrius Johnson was just his foil, man. He beat everybody else in that division besides Demetrius Johnson. So it was like Demetrius Johnson was a champ, and then Benavidez was 1A because that's the only guy he couldn't beat was Demetrius Johnson. Mm-hmm. So me, selfishly, being a fan of Joseph Benavidez for so long and watching him, throughout all these fights at 135, 125, and how exciting and fast and fun he is, I wanted to see him win that belt. Even though I also like Figueiredo as well. Figueiredo had been on a tear coming into it, but once he didn't make weight, it screwed everything up. Because now the only one that could save the division was Joseph Benavidez. He had to win the fight. He had to win the belt. He had to be the reigning champion to create a division and to keep and sustain a division. And if Figueiredo won, it would basically, kill the division. And what we saw is, what did you think of the first round? Let me ask you that.
The first round was very interesting. So that was when when Davison went for the armbar because he got the takedown right away. I believe he caught a leg kick, or was it a leg kick or a body kick from
I think it was a body kick, or like a thigh kick that kind of like he picked up.
Yeah, he picked him up and tripped him right away. Went to the ground, but as they mentioned over and over again on the broadcast, Benavidez is one of the best scramblers in the game. So they scrambled, but he had Davis in a very weird position where he literally was going to do. I don't know if you ever heard of a package pile driver. He had him in like that. Yeah, no, like he had him like where he had his like kind of legs up here and his head's down there. And normally, what I see normally is they stand up and they drop onto their down and hurt them. But he had him in that position, and then all of a sudden they start moving, they start turning, and Figueiredo ends up with an armbar, and it looks like he has the armbar in.
He had a deep, dude. He had a deep.
And then, where we were mentioned earlier, where Mergliato almost thought that Benavidez broke his arm, somehow Benavidez got out. Was able to just keep turning, and when he did that turn, I thought like, oh man, you did exactly what Figueiredo wanted you to do.
No, he was combating it. There's only 3 ways maybe to kind of fight off an armbar. One is doing that spin that he did, and that's very difficult to do. It's not easy, and you're going to be
dangerous if you don't go all the way.
Well, dude, some of them go all the way, and then the people doing the armbar can counter it, and they push it back all the way back, and like when you land, it's even more.
So it's the risky one. It's more risky.
Yeah, it's more risky, but I mean, a lot of people have good moves to it to do that. There's the one where you lock your arms.
Yeah, that's one I always see.
Right, and then there's the one where if they're underneath you like this and you're looking down at them, they put their knee on your face.
And just start.
I mean, they can't hit you because they're trying to defend, but they try to put your knee on your face and try to crunch you down so you can let go and they can pull their arm out.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
So
yeah, that happened, and when they were striking, it's very. I guess sometimes it looks wild because they're so small and they're so fast.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the strikes, especially if they miss, they look like they're wild. But Benavidez looked like he was swinging for the fences, like he wasn't sticking to what his game plan probably was to be more controlled. He was very much like it looked like he was dipping down or he was leading with his head a lot.
Yeah.
And I think even though they didn't factor in because that's not what happened, but it looked like he was overcompensating maybe.
Well, here's the thing, man, and this is what I saw, what I told you. When you look at them, Figueiredo looks like he's a division higher. He's a bigger guy. So Benavidez was trying to sit down his punches and throw with power, so Figueiredo could respect his power. That okay, this guy can possibly knock me out, so I can't just come in wild and not caring about getting hit. Because if you look at the fight, Benavidez was like throwing a lot of combinations and being fast. If you look at the fight, the total strikes. So check this out. Total strikes, Benavidez had landed 46 of 94.
Jeez.
Compared to Figueiredo, who landed 25 of 49. So Benavidez basically doubled them up on striking.
But didn't.
And that's what it was going to take, though. That's what it was going to take to beat Figueiredo. And that's why he was doing what he was doing. I felt that if the fight went 5 rounds or 3 rounds or 4 rounds, Benavidez was going to end up tiring out Figueiredo. And he would end up either TKOing him by accumulation of punches or maybe catching him slipping and hitting him with the punch that he doesn't see coming that knocks him out. That was my thought process walking into this, knowing Figueiredo and him being overweight, him trying to lose the weight and not being able to. I just felt he wasn't going to have the gas tank for a 5-round fight.
So Figueiredo gets the big knockout off of a controversial, as you said earlier, headbutt. Obviously it was incidental. Like it was more like they clashed. They were both swinging, looked like they were both swinging, and they just clashed heads. So it wasn't like Figueiredo threw a headbutt at him.
No, he didn't grab his head and headbutt him. No,
the headbutt landed and cut him immediately.
It did a bunch of damage, man. It did a bunch of damage.
So he's you even see right before the knockout, you see Benavidez go like this and like throw some sweat and then throw some blood, and then right away the punch comes through knocks out Benavidez, and Figueroa gets the win. So as you said, you would probably dispute the win if you're Benavidez, which I don't know. Has anything come out about that?
I think I saw something right after. I think the next day, talking about Benavides and his corner were debating about doing a
Appeal?
dispute or appeal. Yeah, appeal with the athletic commission. Um, I don't know if that's gonna go through now because, from what I understand, they're looking at making a rematch between Benavides and Figueiredo,
Yeah, that's what I
which,
saw.
which I would be for as well. And in that case, Benavides doesn't really need the appeal, because he's gonna get his shot at beating Figueiredo.
Yeah, it's just more about taking a loss off your record. But
Yeah, but he doesn't care about that.
you're already so deep in your career that doesn't
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. If he beats Figueiredo, then that loss is taken off, and we realize that it was because of the headbutt.
yeah.
I felt the headbutt was a big part of the win and part of the finishing sequence. Since he got headbutted, I mean that literally started the sequence, and you can tell the timing was off and the spacing was off for Benavides. And like you said, he touched the side of his head either to gauge how much damage was there or to see if he was bleeding or whatever. And as soon as his hand went down, that's when Figueiredo took advantage and knocked him out. He basically put a punch down the middle where he had left his hand open.
Mhm.
And that's what it takes at this level, man. I mean, one split second mistake, one inch of spacing that you didn't have before, and that's what happens. And that's exactly what this headbutt caused, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that they do a rematch. Figueredo needs to make weight. If he doesn't make weight again, he's a farce, and he needs to move up to 135.
Mhm.
Benavides, on the other hand, if he doesn't make weight, I mean, I don't know what else you want because Figueredo is a huge 125er, man, and he's basically gonna have to pitch a perfect game to
Mhm.
beat him. Now that he knows that he can get knocked out by him, and that's the other thing too, like the psychological edge that Figueredo is gonna have. Is it going to be nullified by him having to drain himself to make 125? I mean, I just want to see the fight again. I thought this was controversial in my opinion. I don't see it as a legitimate win for Figueredo. I see it as him being helped by an illegal head. Um, but hopefully we get to see the rematch, man.
Yeah, I hope so too. And like you said, I hope that Figueredo makes weight because I like Figueredo a lot.
Hmm.
I think when I first saw him, I think it was his fight against Juicy Formiga. I was
Hmm.
like, this dude is something, man. So I really hope that he's able to make weight again. If he doesn't, if I'm Dana, I'm probably telling him, hey man, try to make 135 because this isn't working. You're obviously I honestly think if he's not the best, he's one of the best of the division at the moment. I really would have loved to see Cejudo versus Figueiredo, but I mean, if he couldn't make weight, maybe he can go up to 135 and fight Cejudo. Who knows? But yeah, man, Figueroa just has to make weight. Benavidez needs to go back to the drawing board and maybe
Look, look, check it out, check it out. Let me just. It just came out yesterday in an interview. This is Benavides talking. If the headbutt didn't happen, I feel I was getting in a good groove. I obviously won the first round, and I think it was only a matter of time before I continued to get my groove, continue to find more shots, and continue to find even more takedowns. I mean, the guy was very springy and strong at the beginning, but the headbutt altered everything. I didn't know where I was after the headbutt.
Okay. First, I don't know necessarily by far about the whole first round thing. I think it was a very close first round. But yeah, I mean, if he says he didn't even know where he was at, that might have explained why he put his hand down or
That's
why
what
he
I'm
put his
saying.
head up and just was like, probably thought he wasn't even in a fight. Probably just thought like, whoa, I'm bleeding. What's going on? And then boom, right down the middle. So
Yeah, and the thing is like from what I've read and I've heard on their interviews, a lot of fighters, whenever they get rocked or concussed or something like that in a fight, it's not necessarily that they don't know where they are because they know they're in a fight, but they don't know if they're sparring or and a lot of the time it's just instinct.
mhm.
They're just running off of instinct. So he knew he was fighting. He knew he probably didn't know who he was fighting or what he was doing, and that's why he allowed the space to be so close where Figueiredo can throw. And that's the other thing, man. Figueiredo knocked him out with a straight right, dude. A straight right hand is one of the hard, and it was a lead. So what that means is it was the first punch he threw. He
Mhm.
didn't throw a jab first. He didn't throw a hook. It was a straight right hand. The straight right hand is one of the slowest punches in fighting because from an orthodox fighter because they're sideways, so it has to cover all your body, the space in between you and the fighter, and then get to the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the slowest punches. Now there are people who are super fast, and I'll give you an example. Floyd Mayweather is one of the best fighters to lead with the right hand lead.
You picked the fastest fighter, one of the fastest fighters.
Yeah, but that's what it takes for them to be able to throw what's called like a naked right hand lead, which is nothing in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
So for that punch to land on Benavidez, who's a very good defensive fighter, very good striker, and get knocked out with it, in my mind, I'm thinking, whoa, like sirens are going off in my head. Something's wrong. That never lands. Why did that land? And then you go back and you see the head button. Well, that's probably why the guy wasn't 100% there. That's why I was able to land a straight right hand. You know?
Yeah, like on that replay, you see as soon as the heads collide, you see blood fly out of Benavidez's head. So you know it was a hard hit, but makes you wonder. I guess it's more of a science question, I guess, but makes you wonder, like, how did it affect Benavidez and not Figueiredo? Figueiredo must have a harder head, I guess.
Well, I think he hit him with the front of the head, man. And remember, I don't know if you see. Yeah, what's that? What's that movie? Was it? There was a boxing movie. I got to go back and look. Man, I got to go back and look it up now. It was one of my favorite movies where some old promoter signs a young boxer, and then they end up fighting at the end to get him out of the contract. And he keeps they bare hand fight, and he keeps like breaking his knuckles on the top of his head, and he tells him, the front of the head, son, the hardest part of the body, or something stupid like that.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I need to look it up, man.
Only bare knuckle scene I've seen in the movie, I believe, in terms of boxing, is Snatch. That's one of the best scenes of Brad Pitt. I love that scene. He's just slowly getting his ass kicked, but he's taking off like his clothes and stuff and getting ready, and then boom, one punch. That was amazing. All right, man. So that's it. I'm gonna go and like we always do. Performance of the night bonuses. So we have fight of the night going to Kyler Phillips and Gabriel Silva, much deserved, I believe. So both guys getting 50,000. Then for the two performances of the night, surprisingly, it doesn't happen as often because it's not always guaranteed. But you have the knockout of the night and the submission of the night. So you have Megan Anderson and Jordan Griffin getting the performance bonuses. I remember when they used to call that, when they were like, "Oh, submission of the night, knockout of the night," but because they're like, "All right, we can't guarantee there's gonna be a submission and knockout every night, so we're just gonna call them performance bonus."
Yeah, well, the other thing too is that I didn't like is the knockout and submission were only 50K,
and the fight was 100.
100, yeah, for each fighter. So now they're all 50K, which is whack.
You don't like that?
No, man. I mean,
you think the fight of the night should get?
Dude, I'm all for the fighters getting paid more, man. So
give them all 100K. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah, seriously, man. Give them all 100K. Just give everybody a raise, man. Seriously.
Jeez. All right. So that's the end of that card. I like I said, really good card up and down. I think like it's one of those solid cards that you go back and you're like, this is actually pretty good. I enjoyed this. So good on them. Good on them. Even though only one guy could win the title. Yeah,
it's these really sleeper cards, huh, that end up being good.
Yeah, Norfolk of all places, Norfolk, Virginia.
What are you trying to say about Norfolk, man?
I'm not saying anything about Norfolk. I'm just saying I don't know. I'm not, just not the thing that I would assume, not the place that I would assume would have a great card. But hey, it was great. So let's go ahead and jump into UFC 248, man. Here in Vegas. And you know when it's in Vegas, it goes down in Vegas. Big fight card, man. 2 championship matches, 2 championship fights, and two very exciting champions going up against, I guess, 2 veterans, you would say. Even though Joanna's not as old as Yoel Romero, but she's still a veteran.
She's a veteran.
She's had her go rounds in the division. Even went out of the division and got whooped, and then went right back.
Right back down.
Went right back down. Said, I don't want another Shevchenko. I'm going to go back and just get beat by Namajunas. But now she's going to get beat by Weili Zhang. So we don't have to beat around the bush. You already know who I'm going for in Weili Zhang and Joanna. Obviously, I'm a big Joanna fan. No, I'm just kidding. I am a huge Weili Zhang fan. I loved her since the minute I saw her. I can't even say what it is. I wish I could go back and listen to that episode that we did
You can. It's on,
that was
it's
one
on
of the.
SoundCloud. Shout
It's
out
on
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. That's on SoundCloud. I can go back and watch it and listen to it. But I think that was one of the first fights that we really talked about was that card. And I said the fighter I left talking about was Wei Li Zhang,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was a decision. It was a decision, but I guess, because she was so dominant, she was exciting. It wasn't a boring fight like in any regard. So Wei Li Zhang's quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters, especially after yesterday at the face off. I don't know why, but her telling Joanna to shut up and then like smiling about it was fun. It's just one of those things that she looks like she's not taking it too seriously. She's just in there. She's fighting because she loves it. You can tell because she's constantly posting like workout videos on her Instagram and all that, and she's shredded, dude. Absolutely shredded. It's upsetting.
I don't know how she made weight, honestly.
What do you mean? Because she's so big?
She's huge, dude. She's huge for the division, man.
She's, I guess, in terms of like muscle, yeah, she's very big. Because Joanna looks, even though she's tall as hell, she looks skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And we know she said she had trouble making weight last time. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I actually think it is, because that's why she moved up, because she didn't want to make weight anymore.
Okay, so with Watterson, she's like, I might not make weight, and then Watterson said, well, I'm not gonna fight then.
And she's like, okay, let me make weight.
Like, all right, fine, I'll make weight. Like, she was like, she didn't want to necessarily put in the work.
Yeah,
I don't blame her. Like that, I think that would be my least favorite. And then isn't it every fighter's least favorite part of fighting?
Well, every fight is 2 fights. The first fight is with the scale, and then the second one is the actual fight. So
yeah,
they hate making weight, dude. For the most part, the ones that have to cut a lot of weight.
But you want to have that advantage going into a fight, so you want to cut as much weight and then gain as much weight as you possibly can, which is super unhealthy. Mm-hmm. Needs to be stopped. But so yeah. Before we jump into that, I'm over here jumping ahead. Is there any fights on this card that you're necessarily excited about? Whether it be early prelims or the prelims?
All of them?
All of them? Every single one?
Well, look, dude. Dariush versus Close. Huge fight at lightweight.
I'm excited about that one because I like Jakar Close, but Dariush, didn't he lose his last fight?
I think he did, but he's just a
he's one of those prospects though that has a lot of potential.
Well, I don't think he's a prospect anymore.
I guess he's been around for a while, but he hasn't reached his full potential.
No, look, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, dude.
There you go. Oh, okay, so I was wrong. I don't know what the hell I must be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, so that fight I'm really excited about. Right underneath that fight, Neil Magny versus Li Jiangling.
I'm excited about this one.
So I'm saying that. Okay, the next fight after that is Alex Oliveira, the Cowboy, versus Max Griffin. Now, these guys not necessarily a lot to do within the division as far as climbing the ranks, but both of these guys throw down, and they're like big time action fighters. We're gonna see a finish in this fight. Let me see.
Sean O'Malley, Jose Quinones. I'm excited for that one.
That's what I'm saying. Sean O'Malley is the guy who hasn't fought in 2 years because of his suspension. Mm-hmm. He was on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Has a lot of hype coming in. He's fighting a tough guy in Jose Quinones, who only keeps winning when people think he's going to lose when he's the underdog, which a lot of people are saying he's an underdog for this fight too. But I mean, this guy, he's a veteran dude, and he doesn't like back down. So,
dude, you want to see how many wins he has in a row?
Who?
Quinones.
He beat
1, 2, 3.
Well, he lost 4. He lost to Daniel Wood.
Oh, you're right. My bad. But before that, he was on a big win streak, and then had a submission loss, and then now he has that one against Huachin. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this one because I've heard so much hype about O'Malley. Yeah, so I've heard so much hype about O'Malley, so I'm really excited to see this one. Austin Hubbard, Mark Madsen. I remember Austin Hubbard, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not thinking of the wrong guy. But I believe he had a pretty good win last time. Let me see.
And then the other fight, too, while you're looking that up, Gerald Mearshart.
Yes.
And Darren Wynn, which we talked about earlier.
Yes, and Darren Wynn, I think last fight, he tried to strike. He was trying to be a striker and ended up, and I mean, I think he lost, right?
Yeah, I think he lost.
Yeah, to Stewart. He lost to Stewart, but he was trying to strike with him.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, And remember,
Tyson, it was a close one, but I think Darren Wynn looked a lot better in that fight.
yeah, and he's like like you said, he needs to wrestle. And then your girl Poliana Viana is fighting
my girl.
because you mentioned her last time.
I don't even remember her. I might just mention her like.
No, like you knew her name and you were trying to say somebody else's name, but she's on a 3-fight. Yeah, remember because she fought Hannah Cyphers when we're talking about Hannah Cyphers.
There you go. Yeah.
So she's on a 3-fight losing streak, so she'll probably get cut if she loses.
Yeah, man, that's bad. Because she has the loss against Aldrich, the loss against Cyphers, and the loss against Macedo.
Yeah, and I mean that's really it, man. From what I'm looking at, but I mean there's a lot of fights. I mean you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights that we have at least some vested interest in that we can say we're looking forward to it. We know some of their background. We think they're going to be decent fights.
Yes, but the obvious ones. Let's just talk about the obvious ones before we head out of here.
All right.
Co-main event, even though it should be the main event. I'm just kidding. Obviously, you hear my bias. Weili Zhang, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I'm pretty sure I say her name wrong every time, but I don't care. It's always like Hunchechik, and they all. I feel like the announcers say it like pronounce it differently every time they pronounce
they want to make it more and more exotic as they say it.
Yauchechik or Yauchichuk, and it's like, okay, guys, and that's the third pronunciation. You're not saying it right. So as we mentioned earlier, you kind of saw we watched the face off. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, as you said, she has to kind of psych herself up for a fight. Weili Zhang looked like she's just like having a good time, ready to fight. So I'm gonna go Weili, but I do think this is probably gonna be Weili's toughest challenge to date. Andrade. And everyone said the same thing about Andrade, but it was more because of her power. Because people know that she's just so big for the division. But when she fought someone who was just as big as her in Weili, she showed that she's not as good. So whereas Joanna can strike. Joanna showed against at least in the fight that I saw against Watterson, she showed that she's excellent in the clinch. She's ready to throw them bows. So this is gonna be tough for Weili, but I'm interested to see how Weili approaches this fight. Is she gonna rush in like she kind of did with Andrade, or is she gonna kind of feel out Joanna?
So look, man, let me tell you the only 3 losses for Jędrzejczyk. Valentina Shevchenko,
Nama Yunus,
and Tuda Nama Yunus. And let me tell you the names that she's beat.
Go ahead.
Watterson, Michelle Watterson.
Yeah.
Tisha Torres.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Andrade.
She basically cleaned out the division.
Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Claudia Gadelha, Valerie Letourneau, Jessica Pena, Carla Esparza, another Claudia Gadelha. I mean, she's beat the who's who in the division, and she's only lost to potentially all-time greats. Rose's book still hasn't been written, and she dominated Andrade before she got dropped on her head, which was fluky to me, especially after the Weili fight for Andrade. I just feel like you said this is going to be the toughest fight for Weili. I don't know if she knows that. I don't know if she hasn't learned how to lose yet, which is something that I talk about a lot. And Joanna's been in there with sharks, man. She's been in there with everybody. If you talk about striking, do you think Weili's a better striker than Shevchenko?
No way.
Okay, so Joanna's seen a way better striker than Weili. She's seen a better striker, and she's fought better strikers. As far as wrestling, do you think Weili's better wrestlers than and there's Tisha Torres, Jessica Andrade, Claudia Gadelha, Jessica Pena, Carla Esparza. Those are all wrestlers, man.
Yeah, but with Tisha Torres, Weili dominated on the ground.
Yeah, so
I don't know. Honestly, I'm trying to think of because the only fight I've seen her wrestle was Tisha Torres, and I don't think I've necessarily seen the top wrestlers of the strawweight division. Are there any top tier wrestlers of the division?
There's not really a lot. I mean, there's like Claudia Gadelha is a good one, but she uses her wrestling now as counter wrestling to keep the fight standing. So they all end up falling into Joanna's trap because she's just the best striker in the division.
Yeah, and the thing about Joanna also is if you go for it, because we saw it with Watterson. One, she was just so much smaller than Jurjejic, and then if she went in for a takedown and failed and went up against the cage, all of a sudden you're in Joanna's territory.
Yeah.
She was throwing nasty elbows against Watterson, man, like where they were just like uncomfortable, even though it went to decision, right? That fight against Watterson.
Yeah, that fight went to decision. I think Watterson was just trying not to get knocked out, man.
Yeah, and I mean, if that was the case, she succeeded. But you take heavy damage with those big elbows, and you see in the face-off, she towers over Wei Li.
Yeah, but she was wearing some huge ass heels. But
I didn't see the heels.
Yeah, she was wearing some huge. But I think she is taller than her. She's 5'6". Let me see how tall Wei Li is.
Wei Li is 5'4".
5'4", yeah. So she's about 2 inches taller, and she has a 2.5 reach.
Yeah.
2.5 inch reach advantage. So this is just gonna be one of those things where is Wei Li gonna try to wrestle? And if she tries to wrestle, can she take her down? Because if it stays standing, I feel that Joanna's experience, her reach, her better striking overall, I think she's gonna win out from a like point perspective. It's gonna be a 5-round fight. She's gonna win more rounds.
How does Joanna do in terms of counter wrestling? Can she
she's good. She's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like her counter wrestling, her sprawls and stuff. It's more along the lines of her footwork. She's usually when she's
standing.
Yeah, she moves around a lot. If she backs up, she doesn't usually back up in a straight line. She usually uses angles. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna be tough for Wei Li to kind of get her down if she does decide to wrestle. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like Wei Li's at such a high right now. Like she has a lot of confidence, man, and it's okay. She's a champion. You know, she dominated Andrade, but Andrade, in my opinion, was not a real champion. I mean, she's never been. She's always the one that got to the to knock at the door, but could never walk in the door. So Wei Li, in my opinion, still hasn't been proven as a champion.
All right. Well, she's tested right away, and I think that these are the kind of fights that whenever you have a fighter that you don't necessarily believe is a champion, these are the kind of fights you want to see. Is you want to see her be tested, and it's like we were saying earlier with Hooker. He hasn't been tested, but now he's going to get into that realm. It just so happens that Wei Li's going to do that as champion.
Yeah.
So it is going to be interesting to see what happens here, because I think whoever wins this is going to get the winner of Andrade and Namajunas immediately. Especially if Namajunas wins. If Namajunas wins, they're getting her that championship fight right away, because I know Dana probably wants to capitalize on that. Because considering I don't believe Namajunas that loss isn't legit. I don't believe.
No, I still think Namajunas is the best in the division. I think she would beat Wei Li, and I think she's beat Joanna twice. And
I want to see that fight. I would rather see that fight than Joanna and considering that, even though I haven't seen the fights, but considering that Joanna and Namajunas have already fought twice and she's beaten her both times, I don't necessarily want to see it. I wouldn't want to see it.
Well, I mean,
it would probably be the more interesting one, but it all depends on this fight. Like if Joanna goes in there and dominates Wei Li, then I'm gonna be singing a different tune. Even though I'm still gonna be 100% Wei Li because I love her, but I'm gonna be on that. Okay, let's see it.
So what you're saying is, in a fight between Rose and Joanna, you'd be rooting for Wei Li.
Yeah. Wei Li's she's gonna do the WWE thing, come out of nowhere.
She's gonna come out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see how straight faced I was? Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Of course,
absolutely. Of course. But yeah, I mean, but I like Rose. I like Rose, especially after hearing. Yeah. I think I liked her more after I heard her interview with, I think it was Ariel Helwani. I think I was like, I like her a lot. She's very open. I think it's kind of it's one of those things. And then we mentioned it with Juan Adams, even though he's not in the UFC anymore. But I talked to you about it when he was on Unfiltered. When you can be real, especially in a sport where you're probably want to be more reserved and keep your weaknesses to yourself, it's very refreshing when you have someone that's willing to speak out right about things they go through and Rose did that on Ariel Helwani's show, and it's really hard to, you can't hate someone that does that.
Yeah, and that's like, to me, Darren Till right now too. He's kind of growing on me, just because ever since he's lost, he got humbled basically. And I remember when he lost, I was happy because he was very cocky, and I kept saying he thinks he's better than he is, and he was getting humbled because he kept losing to guys that were better fighters and guys that were figuring him out. And when he started winning again, he stayed humble, and he's been more open. And I'm like, okay, now this guy's learning, and just like he's been saying, which leads us to the next fight, that he doesn't want to fight Yoel Romero.
That's like just not the funny. I think that's the funniest thing going on in UFC right now. Is I'll fight anybody. Oh, even Yoel Romero?
No, not that guy. You should know that. Yeah. But dude, have you been seeing some of these interviews that are coming out in the wake of the media for this fight with Yoel Romero?
No, I haven't been watching.
Dude, this guy, he's a freaking maniac, man. Like, I think somebody asked him, and they had to translate, and they said, you're a very humble man, a humble fighter. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your life, and what did you learn from it? And he just like looks at him and he breathes like twice, and then he goes, you don't want to know. And the guy goes, okay, next question.
I love it. I like Romero a lot. I think he's enjoying it, because he's 38.
He's 38 years old, man.
So he's trying to soak in every little everything he has left of this, because it's this. I'm pretty sure the sport gets tougher as you get older. It gets harder and harder to like. So I'm pretty sure Dana comes to the fight, and he's probably like,
Well, dude, I mean, it is true, but for some guys, this is a cakewalk, and I would say that Yoel Romero, that's
one of those.
Yeah, because he comes from Cuba, man, and he comes from Cuba when everything was closed off, and he remember, I don't know if you ever saw that interview he did with Joe Rogan, and with Joey Diaz translating, which was horrible. But basically what he was saying is, because he was a wrestler for the national team in Cuba, people think that he had a easy way about it. But what it was is, they go to this school, and there's like 3 levels in the school, right? And so if you're at the bottom level, you only get fed like once a day, and you get scraps. And the only way to get more food is to get to the 2nd level, and then to get more food, you get to the 3rd level. Jesus. And so he said that was his only goal, was to get to the 3rd level so he could eat, So when you look at that compared to this and making weight or whatever,
he's probably enjoying it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he's just, there was another thing that he did, another interview that he did that people were freaking out about. Well, not freaking out, but they're just like, man, this guy's different. He is different, man. I'll give the guy his props. He's different. He said, and again too, I used to hate Yoel Romero, and I'll tell you why right now. But they said, something about Israel Adesanya, and he's been undefeated in the UFC. And he goes, he has 2 hands, just like I have 2 hands. He's a man. I'm a man. He tells the interviewer, you're a man. You have 2 hands. Go get it. Go.
I know.
and they're like, I was simultaneously so motivated and so scared at the same time.
Oh man, I like this guy a lot. He's a soldier of God, so you never know.
Yeah. But, so I used to hate him, man, because he fought Tim Kennedy back in the day, probably 7-8 years ago, and Tim Kennedy was beating the crap out of him and almost knocked him out. And in between rounds, Yoel Romero took an extra, I think it was like 39 seconds or something, to come out from the round. Yeah. And he played the whole, I don't understand you. What are you talking about?
Lame.
Yeah. And he got extra rest, and then he came back and he knocked out Tim Kennedy. And Tim Kennedy was pissed off because that fight should have been over. If you can't come out whenever the ref says to come out, that's it. That's the end of the fight.
Yeah, you have translators there for a reason.
And he stayed on his stool, and he stayed for an extra 30 seconds, and he got that time he needed, and he knocked out his opponent. So I hated him after that, dude, for a long time. But now he's kind of grown on me. I guess I get respect for him too when they stay so long in the UFC and at the top of the sport. And I'm excited about this fight, man. I'm really excited about this fight.
Yeah, we didn't even I guess officially introduce this fight. But yes, the main event is Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, and this is an exciting. I was joking about Whaley and Joanna being the main event. This is the obvious main event. These two, as soon as they were in the face-off, like, it's like these two are going to put on some great interviews, and I think they're going to put on a great show. It's interesting because I want to say this is going to be Israel Adesanya's toughest test, but I think Gastelum might have been that. Whereas they both went, they went all 5 rounds. A guy was willing to bang with him and was more muscular than him. Because I think Israel Adesanya is so skinny for the division. Everyone in this division is jacked. You have Paulo Costa, who's a monster. As we already know.
He's a 205-pounder masquerading around as a 185-pounder.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say it's official. Yoel Romero and Adesanya make weight. And I was about to say, how in the world does Yoel Romero make weight? Because he has no neck. The man has no neck. But he's jacked to the gills. But he somehow manages to make 180 every time.
185
or 185. Sorry, he always manages to make 185 every time. So the dude's a monster. And for Adesanya, he's much bigger than him. But Adesanya is one of those. He's an enigma, man. He's one of those guys where you're just like, this guy has it. And it's hard for me to pick against him, even though I know Yoel's going to come in and wrestle, and I haven't necessarily seen Israel Adesanya wrestle. But because I think Adesanya has that it factor, like I can't bring myself to pick against him. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't know if he can knock out Yoel Romero.
That's what I'm saying. I
don't know if he can wrestle him either. But I can't. It's one of those things where it's hard for me to say that Adesanya's not going to win.
I just feel like. I don't know. I think we saw a couple things. So remember, Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero had some wars, and I've been asking you to go watch those fights because that Whittaker was not the same one that fought Adesanya.
I don't have Fight Pass anymore.
You can find them. I mean, you can find them.
It's $20. It's $20 a month for Fight Pass, and I can't afford it. I don't watch everything on Fight Pass.
No. Just I'll send you a link.
All right.
Don't say anything. But what I'm saying is Romero saw how that failed, right? How going away from what you're good at failed with Robert Whittaker. But what I will say is Romero has a better chin than Whittaker. He has more power than Whittaker. He's a way better wrestler than Whittaker. And those fights with Whittaker were very close. So I don't know, man. I just feel like Romero, has more power and he's going to be able to catch him. I don't know if Adesanya could hurt Romero, but Romero's notorious for getting in close fights and losing them. I mean, the Whittaker fights, the
Paulo
Costa fight, like he just, I don't know, he just doesn't have that little extra that he needs to put the fight away or to make it a decisive victory. So
he just can't quite get over that hump.
Yeah, man. The problem is that
it's like he has all the tools.
Yeah, he just can't do it. He just can't do it, man. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting fight. I think another interesting part of this is he's coming off a loss. And he'll be the second, or he'll be the first or the second one coming out. No, the first one coming off a loss to fight for a championship this year.
Yeah, he set the precedent.
Yeah, Jose Aldo's going to be the second one when he fights.
Even though he technically won that fight.
Yeah,
he won that fight.
So I don't know, man. I mean, it's just interesting. I give Adesanya props for. I mean, he has literally almost nothing to win from this fight. Yeah, you beat Romero, but people are going to say, oh, he's going to come off a loss. He's past his prime. He's 38 years old, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I do give my props to Adesanya for taking this fight. Yeah, for taking this fight.
He could have sat and waited for Costa to heal up.
For Costa to heal up.
Or Darren Till to knock out somebody, finally.
Yeah, he could have waited, man. He's a champion. He's earned that. He's fought a lot. But he wanted a fight. So I'm actually like a lot of respect for Adesanya, and I want to see this fight because it is a fight of a unique matchup, a legit sniper for a striker against a brick wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can he break that brick wall? I guess we'll see. And I guess I want to see Adesanya win this fight because I think there's still so many really interesting matchups for him in the division. If he stays champ, like if he defends, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's more. If he loses, he can still get an interesting fight. But something about the narrative for me. The more interesting narrative would be Adesanya winning, and then one of these other guys. If Costa, if he's not ready, you already know that Adesanya is not one to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So would he take? And because we're getting Whittaker versus Cannonier. No, sorry, he dropped out of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
because of what he did. Yeah, because of what he did.
Yeah.
Which I commend 100%. But you have Cannonier, Till, Hermanson, who's getting a fight pretty soon. I forgot who Hermanson's fighting. He's fighting somebody.
You still
announced.
You still got Gastelum out there.
Gastelum, which I mean, who would not want to see that rematch? Like, wouldn't you want to see that rematch?
I mean, I want to see it. I want to see it right now, but I also want to see. I mean, I think Romero's never fought Gastelum either. So that's an interesting fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think because Gastelum's gonna need a win before he would fight the winner. So say Adesanya wins.
Does he though?
Yeah, because he has 2 losses in a row. It's different from 1.
So does Romero.
2. Does he? Oh, damn it! God damn it, Yo Romero.
Let me see. Let me make sure.
Because I think Hermanson just got announced for a fight with someone. Oh, he just got announced for Weidman.
Yeah. So Romero lost to Robert Whitaker and then Paulo Costa back to back.
Oh, okay, you're right. So, all right, I guess, but I mean, I would love to see that fight still. Derek Brunson and Shabazian are about to fight coming up soon. They were supposed to be on this card, but they moved it to another card, I guess, to fill up another card.
Yeah, because like we saw, this fight has a lot of this card has a lot of good fights.
Yeah, and you already know I like Shabazian. You don't like him, but I like him. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting fights, probably for both Romero and Adesanya. So I guess my argument about the better narrative went out the window because you had to throw in Gastelum and a few other people. But yeah, I'd be interested.
But that just shows you the division. You got Darren Till out there. You said Cannonier, right? Is it Cannonier?
Cannonier.
You got Cannonier.
He doesn't have a fight right now.
You got who else? Gastelum. You have Whitaker too, which I mean he's gonna be probably on the show for a while now.
Yeah, that's not gonna be easy.
Yeah,
come back from what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, he donated bone marrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he donated bone marrow to his daughter who needed it. So he's gonna be out for a little bit, but it's for a good cause.
Obviously, I mean your kids are. I mean that's what he does. What he does for his family. Yeah. So. At first whenever I saw the news, I thought he got gotten hurt again because he gets hurt a lot.
Me too. I was like, no, I really wanted to see that fight.
And then when stuff started coming out about it, I was like, okay, I mean,
absolutely.
He'll do anything just like I would do anything for my kid, just like I'm sure you would do anything. So, mad props to him.
Also, you have Jan Heinisch, who's coming up in the division. He's going to probably get a couple good fights coming up soon down the pike, and then eventually he'll be up there with those guys. Because I like Jan a lot. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what happens here in this fight. This is this could be fight of the night. This has fight of the night written all over it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's a couple that could be, but I see a lot of fireworks. This is going to be a high level fight, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, man, me too. All right, man. So that's it. We have previewed UFC 248. We broke down UFC Norfolk as per usual. We've gone over time, but we're not in the studio, so we can do that. But let's hype up what we're gonna do this Saturday, man. We haven't even announced it yet.
Oh, we haven't even talked about it, man.
We haven't even talked about it. So what's going on?
This Saturday, live from New York. No, I'm sorry.
It's Saturday. Oh.
No, this Saturday we will be doing our first ever run. Trial, however you want to call it. Don't shoot the messenger. Fight companion for UFC 248
for the main card.
For the main card, yes, yeah. We can't do the whole card, but we will do the main card. So we'll be on starting.
If we did the entire early prelims and prelims.
Yeah, we'll be on. Yeah, we'll be on live starting 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. To watch the whole fight, and we'll be commentating on it. We'll be giving you immediate reaction, maybe making some side bets and some prop bets. I don't know yet. I don't know if there's enough time for that.
There might be, especially if one fight say a little slower than normal.
Yeah, man. If there's gonna be a long pause in between fights, we're gonna have to do some filler.
There is. Someone gets knocked out quickly. But yeah, man. So I'm really excited for that UFC 248 fight companion. Bringing the beers, it's gonna be fun, man.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll send out tweets and reminders and everything we can to get you guys on board, and hopefully you guys can watch along with us. And if you're not watching, at least you can hear our voice and maybe see a screen here or there and kind of see what we're looking at.
Absolutely. So yeah, man, that's the show. You make sure you catch me. Let me get rid of this real quick. There you go. You go catch me on Twitter at Alec Miller 0423. What I am going to try and do, I did it for a few fights for last week's card. I'm going to comment on every single fight that I watch. I'm trying to do that more often. So because I don't have, I notice I don't really post on social media as much. So I'm trying to get a little bit more of a presence. I'm trying to have a back and forth with people. Honestly, like that's where I got the back and forth with someone on Twitter with the Elon Cruz. I just literally just tweeted. I just tweeted, "Hey, am I crazy?" Blah blah. Someone responded. Had to get a little back and forth. So I'll be doing that, especially if I can start watching the fights early. But I know I am taking my son to Chuck E. Cheese, so I don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and comment on them as I go, and I'll probably do that during the show too, even though we'll be live.
That's good, man. You can find me at The Real Jesus on Twitter, spelled JEEZUS. I talk all the time. I tweet all the time. Sometimes I tweet during fights. Sometimes I don't. This weekend, I'm going to try to do the same thing that Alex said and try to tweet more. So I'll be on there. We'll be live at 9 Central Standard Time, and I'm really excited about it because this will be our first ever fight companion, and hopefully not the last.
Yes, hopefully things go smoothly, but as you know, when you do an initial run, it usually doesn't. So, but we'll be ready for those going forward. So, we'll see you guys tomorrow if y'all can. If not, we will try and see you guys next week. So, peace out, guys.
AMF.